T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and
yeah. Lord, this for you. I was a mess, little hair on my chest, fresh as a newborn, but I'm headed for death. Some saying I'm blessed, cause I'm still alive. Every day in the hood, I was fighting to survive. So sin I acquired as an adolescent, walking in darkness, spirit facing oppression. You couldn't tell me nothing, swag was on 100, speeding in the fast lane, call me crash dummy. Then I put on the helmet of salvation and received the revelation. Yeah, I could be a leader in this nation, ain't gotta follow the code in the streets and be like them other creeps. See, I could be a leader in this nation.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to the original Jeek podcast. We are your hosts, Rockinmrmagic and
UniqDNA.
Welcome back, y'all. It's time again for another episode. It is April. It is snowing here in the tri-state area, which is a crazy hot mess, but we endured it through anyway. And we're excited, y'all. We're excited today to add someone to the pod today. We'd like to introduce to you MightyTP.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
Welcome, we're glad to have you. Why don't you just start off and tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your, some of your geek likes, some of your jock sports likes.
Cool. 35. I'm a baseball player, a football fan, baseball fan, basketball fan. I'm a diehard Lakers, diehard Niners, and then baseball. It's just kind of whatever, you know. I just love the sport. But as far as geeks go, man, I'm a big time gamer. I played the PC format for a while. I've always been into consoles. I generally have them all, you know, whatever they are. Right now, I'm really deep into the Division, waiting for Dark Souls 3 to come out. Not big into the first-person shooters usually, although Destiny has taken up a big chunk of my 2 years. So, yeah, that's pretty much that's me.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. Add another flavor, another voice to the show here. And David and I both can attest, Destiny has taken up a lot of our lives as well.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to platinum Need for Speed, which is driving me nuts. But yeah, those two are killing me right now.
Man, if I tried to platinum all my games, I've got a queue that's like 100 long.
They be getting us with that platinum. I do. You know, when I finally beat Taken King and I didn't even get a gold, I was heated. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I beat this cat out, even get a gold out of this? What?
Nothing.
I get a silver? Are you kidding me?" Yeah, I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, you know, the one time I tried to platinum a game, it was Assassin's Creed 2. And,
that's like the hardest one. That's like the worst one to decide to platinum.
Right? And so here I am trying to go through platinum. I get everything. Everything is just checked off except for a 10-point goal, you know, whatever they're called. Yeah. And it comes from one mission where you're on the hang glider and you have to kick someone when you're on the hang glider. You cannot replay this mission. You cannot. Once you pass a mission, it's done. Like, you get one chance, and I didn't know about it. So after that, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice. Well, we don't ever really stay on topic, as we told you sometimes, and we like to mix things up. So since we're talking games, let's jump right into the most recent news in regards to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. David and I have talked about this in length because we're both big Final Fantasy fans, but I'm not sure if either one of you heard that each episode, it'll be episodic. The releases will not be one game. It will not be one game release. It will be episodic releases. And each episode, reportedly, will be as big as Final Fantasy 13.
That's a pretty big deal.
That's a big deal. But to me, is what is it going to do to my pocket? What does this mean for the price? Like, how much is this game really going to cost us? Because, you know, I can't afford to keep buying episodes at, you know, $50-$60 a pop.
Right. You know, I'll tell you, I have two feelings about it. The first one is that it worries me. This is kind of seems like this is the way to start making money now. Lord of the Rings did it with The Hobbit.
Yes.
Harry Potter did it with its 7th episode right after that one Twilight movie did it with their 3rd episode. And they try to break it up. They try to take this one content that could be put in one movie, one game, and they try to break it up in order to sell more off of it. And so I'm a little concerned. I'm a little worried because I don't know if there was enough content in that game to make 3 full-size contents of the game.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was thinking about is is this going to be like a super short? I mean, it's supposed to be like Final Fantasy 13, but then does that mean it's going to be linear? Is it going to be still open world? How's that going to work with having episodes? I don't know. I'm kind of leery about it. And then, like you said, the price, even if it's $30-$40 times 3, 4, I mean, Assassin's Creed was supposed to be 3 games, right? And look what that turned into. So that part I'm worried about too.
Yeah, that's true. You're right about Assassin's Creed. And I'm thinking, I have no idea. I mean, it could be 3 episodes. They could do an episode per character. I mean, they could do, obviously, mainly everything's be focused and centered around Cloud, but they could have a Baird episode, and they could have a Sid episode, and a Tifa episode, and was her name Yuki or whatever? I mean, it could really go deep into how many episodes they want to develop, for this game. And they're apparently, what was it? I read in an article that, what's his name? Yoshinori Kitase. Yeah, Yoshinori Kitase. Apparently he said, they have a pre-existing story, so it doesn't make sense if it's not encompassed in a multi-part series. So I kind of, if you're gonna go deeper into the story and tell a whole lot more story, but like you said, David, even if it's $30-$40, is it worth 200 hours or more of that much story?
I don't know. I mean, I love the game, the original anyway. So knowing me, I probably am gonna buy it no matter what because it's Final Fantasy. I'm a sucker for it. But yeah, I'm gonna complain the whole way to the bank while I'm paying for this thing. But yeah, I kind of just feel like, you know what, just give us the full game. They did it to us with Destiny with all these expansions, and now they're talking about part 2 Destiny, and they barely part 1 was barely complete. So I kind of just feel like, just give us the whole game. I know you got they want to make money, DLC, and all these different things, but whatever happened to just buying the cartridge? Way back now.
I know
you're bringing up a good point right now. So let's pose that question, all right? Because right now we know. Let's say there's 3 episodes. They come out at $60 a pop. That's $180.
Yep.
What if they came out and said, "We will give you the entire game at $120"?
I think I would rather do that. I mean, hey, look.
So would I.
I bought the Fallout Pip-Boy edition for it. What was it, $110?
Yeah,
So,
but
I
that's a special edition. This would just be the game. This would just be the content alone. And think about the repercussions that come from that.
True.
Think about that. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, the first $100 pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
They were the at least for my memory, they were the Grandmama Larry
The Larry
Johnson.
Johnsons, yeah.
Yeah, the Larry Johnsons. The first $100 pair of sneakers, and no one was willing to approach that because they knew it would open a can of worms. And here we are today with $200-$300.
Jordans. Yeah.
Exactly. So
yeah.
what does that do exactly to the future? And if they come out and we know ahead of time that we save $60 by paying for it all up front, what does that do to other makers, to other games, to other big games? Do you know what I mean? Does that mean Destiny 2 comes out and says, well, we're going to do it for 100 because we know you're going to put 200 hours into our game? And is that okay? Is that justifiable? Are we opening a can of worms by doing that?
That's true too. But then I don't know.
That's
'Cause,
true,
yeah,
but what we have to look at it. We have to realize, I mean, how big these games are compared to, like you said, we buy the cartridge. That cartridge didn't hold a whole lot. Yes, it was a complete game, and sometimes you could do a lot, but it takes so much more now for them to create these games that, in a way, it's sort of justifiable that they charge so much, but leaving things out. My thing is, don't leave things out intentionally just to make me buy more. If you do the game, do it all the way. Give it to me that way. If you make a separate game, a separate part, I can dig that. I can live with that. Um, I just can't live with something that's just purposefully, you know,
chopped up.
being purposely chopped up for no good reason. It's tough to determine what their intentions are and where they are with that. I don't think Square Enix is. They haven't really done that to us before, so I don't really see them doing that to us at all. I see that with EA. We've seen that with Bungie, but that really hasn't been Square Enix's mantra.
But then, I mean, maybe now they're starting, they're seeing the potential. This is all a business, right? As much as
True.
we love games, and for us, it's a way of life. For all the gamers and nerds out there, we don't look at it as a business. Just like, you don't look at other things. You don't look at your job as a business until they have to make business decisions, right? So I feel like, yeah, they've done the fans a good service, but I feel like now they're saying, hey, we need to get part of the piece of the pie too. All these guys are doing it. Why not? Why don't we do it too? Right. So this will be our first chance. We know everybody's excited for this game, this remake. Let's cash in on it. We already cashed in on it once. Let's cash on it again. Now 20 years later, and make triple the money that we made back in 1999 or whenever it came out.
Right.
Actually, I think it was probably what, 97.
Yeah, 97, 98. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're already making money off me because you're giving me more or less the same game. It's a remake, and then now you want to break it up into 3, 4, 5, 6. Who knows how many episodes, and who knows how much you're going to charge me for each episode. I mean, I kind of feel like it's just, hey, we got this gold mine here. Let's just keep chipping away at it till there's nothing left, and we know guys are going to buy it. And it's kind of like, because it's been done, so we know people are going to buy it because it's been done already. It's been done with all.
Let me ask you guys something. There's a clear distinction in the type of games. It's almost like a BC and AD type thing with games, Final Fantasy games. They used to be open world.
Yes.
You would have your open world, and you go into each town, and they'd have some direction, but really it was up to you to make your way around the world and figure it out.
Right.
And that was part of the fun in it. That was part of the thing. Then at some point they became very story driven, very linear. So the question is, are they going to keep intact the open worldness of Final Fantasy VII, and does that lend itself to being episodic?
Great question.
I don't think so.
It's tough to say because 7 is pretty much that line of demarcation where you talk about BC and AD for Final Fantasy. That's the one that made the story so important to that franchise. Before the stories were good, the majority of them, 1 through 6, but the focus wasn't so much on the story until the sterling results and just the fever pitch that is the fandom of 7. Like, almost, even if it's not everyone's favorite, it's in everyone's top 3 pretty much. Like, people love the game, so I don't know. That's a tough one. I can't see them honestly going back to the open world part because everyone, regardless of developers, seems to be so focused on directing you down the path. I would love it to stay open world. Kind of maybe even kind of what they did with 12, even though it was kind of open world because you could do what you wanted when you wanted, even though the story pushed you in a certain direction. You could say, "Screw that! I'm going to do what I want to do," and wait till to do the story critical stuff anyway. I definitely could see something like that, and I would definitely hope for something like that because it stays true to the roots of the actual game.
Yeah, but being episodic is kind of pushing you to follow the story, right? Because you'll never get to episode 2 if you're just wandering around the world, just doing whatever you want, and saying, well, I'm not going to follow the story. You'll never get to episode 2 or any of the other episodes for that matter. So I think it has to be linear, right? In order for you to continue episodes. It can be open world in a sense, but not really, right? There has to be something that's driving you to say you can only go but this far, right?
So my developer mind right now is at work trying to reprogram to pseudocode this game right now. And if you're having 3 episodes, okay, these 3 episodes are all going to have a story within them. They're going to have a climax and an ending. And if it is indeed open world, you're going to have to eventually, at the end of each episode, close it off and kind of bottleneck it down to a specific ending. And then you'll have to pick back up on the next episode of where that's at. And then obviously the third being the biggest ending. There it is. So is it really open world at that point if you've got 3 different endings and you've got those 2 different bottlenecks leading up to the third one? Because you can't really have all these loose ends with each game, because where do you pick those back up with on a next game? That's just my developer mind right there. So I think it's going to be probably more linear than we remember the game being, and I don't know how I feel about that.
See, David, it's good to have one of these smart guys on with us to break it down on a technical level. I have to agree with you, TP. I mean, 100%. That completely makes 100% sense. I mean, that's a very logical way of looking at it, and I think it bottlenecks it. You're definitely right. There's only so much we could do. And myself, hey, I know me. I'm cheap, so I play the first episode till the next episode is on sale, and then finish it. Because that's how I do. But that's a great point, and honestly, I just have to myself as a collector, because I mean, I own every Final Fantasy aside from the online versions. I own every single game, and I know I want a hard copy of it. And if these are going to become episodic, they're more than likely going to be, download only options. I can't imagine them putting out discs for all these. I can't see that being something that they do, and that impacts even the collector versions like me, who then that's when I would say, hey, I will buy a $120 version of it because I actually want my physical copy. I don't want to have to rely on a digital download that could get corrupted, or God knows whatever happens in the future, with these download only games.
Can I share my dirty little secret right now? I think now's the appropriate time, now that you said corrupted file.
Go for it.
I have never finished Final Fantasy VII.
Ooh.
Oh, that's not a dirty little secret. That's okay.
You know what? I'm a hardcore gamer, and I love Final Fantasy. It is in one of my top 3. But yeah, when I was in junior high when that game came out, and I had a memory card that after I had like 90, 100 hours into this game, that just quit.
Oh, good old corrupted memory cards.
Yeah, exactly. The little memory card got corrupted, and I didn't have the money at that point to go out and get a new one. And
because you were $25.
Yeah, they were expensive.
They were like $30, yeah.
And I mean, that's a lot right now for a kid, but back then that was even more.
It was impossible.
I had to talk my parents into just letting me have the system to begin with, and then I'm like, hey, by the way, I got to get another memory card. I was afraid of those consequences for future gaming.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I'll be honest. I like Final Fantasy 12 a lot. I put 300 hours into it. I haven't finished it, because I was trying to level everybody to 99, and I was trying to do all the hunts and do all the stuff, get 100% completion of all the side missions and stuff before I finished the game. And I wanted to take advantage of having one of the guests with me when I did some of the really big hunts, and just pretty much casting decoy and having that attack the guest while my main three did the damage to the mark. But I put 300 hours, over 300 hours in that game. I still haven't finished it, so you're not alone on that aspect. But your $25 was a ton then. It's a ton now, and I'm only a year younger than you. I'm same thing. I was scared to have my parents, even ask my parents to buy me, a memory card, or even buy me a system. I had to buy my systems. Aside from the original NES that my parents bought, I bought every system that I have just because I knew they weren't going to spend that type of money, on video games. So I can't imagine. I can't imagine kids trying to have to deal with something like that today, or saying, "Well, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to file a ticket with, Sony or whoever, or EA? Like, hey, my game just stopped working." And EA would say, "Okay, well, it's the hardware's fault," and Sony would probably say it's the software's fault, and you're going to go around in a circle to figure out what's the problem.
But think about back in the day, there was no internet.
I know. Yeah, there was.
You could go online and open up a ticket.
Yeah. Well, we could go online. It just took forever. It took 5 minutes.
Exactly, right.
So with our AOL dial-up.
The website was
Yep.
Windows 95.
Yeah.
With all the flash animation everywhere.
Yes.
Sparkles.
I love it.
But I remember, speaking of memory cards and how expensive they were, I remember my brother and I had to share one, and that was like the worst thing in the world.
Oh, that's really
Remember,
terrible.
there was no such thing as making two separate files, right?
Nope.
It was like if somebody jumped on and they saved over your stuff and you lost it. That was it. So I remember I had the same thing happen. My brother and I used to share it, and one day he took it to a friend's house, and it was raining, and he had it in his pocket, and he got soaked, and of course the memory card got water damage. So I lost my 600 hours of Gran Turismo on there.
Oh,
and,
man. All those cars, all those mods. Oh, God.
And talking about that and how expensive they were. Yeah, and I'm a few years younger than you. What am I? 4 years younger than you guys?
Yeah.
I talk about your struggles. I mean, I was 4 years younger, so you can imagine what I was going through.
Yeah, I was nice enough to spare my kids that and have multiple memory cards as an adult, and letting my kids play every once in a while, just because that's a struggle. Like I watched that with my friends and having their games get messed up, and brother and sister wanted to play a game, and especially because there was no room in the memory cards.
That was the other
so they would delete something and be like, "You deleted my game, what are you doing?"
You only have 15 slots.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
slots, right?
I've got 15 slots. You are not slot worthy. I'm sorry.
Well, and when the PS2 drops, it wasn't even in slots. It was just on slots and size.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Because some of those games, they took up a ton of block space. I forget what game I picked up that I think it was Xenosaga that took up like half my memory card. I'm like, are you kidding me?
7 slots.
Yeah, it was like, what is this? Like, I gotta go buy a whole new freaking memory card for this. Are you kidding me?
Just for this one game.
Just for this one game. This game better be great. It was to the second one, but are you kidding me? Yeah.
That was when you had to make hard choices, man.
Yes, you did. You had, and it was some of those were like, okay, what game can I replay and it'll be all right? Like, okay, so Grand Theft Auto, okay, I could delete that and play that over again. Crash Bandicoot, something like that. Okay, well, I could get rid of that. But yeah, I was not with that. I'm glad we don't really, and we kind of still have that today, because, like we said last episode, we buy these 500 gig, consoles, and after you boot the joint up, 2 hours later, all of a sudden you have 250 megs used already. I mean, gigs used, and you're like, where'd that come from?
I went through that. Actually, I just went through that recently with, what game was I playing? I think it was with Destiny, and I installed. I think it might have been Call of Duty, and I had to make a choice because my hard drive was full. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's 500 gigs. I spent $500 on this system, and I still don't have memory space to put maybe 5 games on there. So yeah, I guess it's still the same, but I think it's a little bit easier now than what we had to go through as kids.
Well, it would be easy if they made it easy to have secondary storage. Like you have to like trick it if you want, or back it up if you want to have on an external, or you swap out the hard drive. Well, we shouldn't have to deal with that. Like it doesn't make any sense that I have to deal with that when I have a game. Like you said, honestly, like I think on my PS3, which I don't know if it's a 250. I don't remember how many gigs are on my PS3, but I mean, I thought it was great when they had that iPhone hacker. I forget what he called himself. That hacked the PSN network, and they gave all those free games away through the PlayStation Store because of the hack or whatever.
That, yeah.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
I think he's still stuck in like South America. Like,
Speaking of that, I just got my lawsuit, the class action lawsuit thing back.
Yeah, you got
with the free game
the
and
free game. Yeah,
I was like, I don't even have my PS3 anymore. What am I gonna do with this?
What am I gonna
and it's not like you can redeem it and download a PS3 game and play it on your PS4.
Right.
That would be
I
too
redeemed
convenient.
it because I'm like, well, hey, Sony gave me something free, but I mean, what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah,
It's like 5 years ago this thing came out.
exactly.
Yeah,
So I was all hyped because I only had a couple games for my PS3. So I downloaded Infamous, and I downloaded Little Big Planet because it was something I could play and my kids could play. They could watch me play because half the games I had my kids couldn't watch me play. So I'm like, cool. I get all this and I'm out of space. I'm like, you kidding me? I downloaded 2 games, and the rest I have are just game saves. I'm like, there's no way I filled this. Like I'm not storing pictures on it. Because they tell you they want you to use it like it's a multimedia device. They want you to store videos on it and pictures on it and music on it. Nobody's doing that.
Oh, that's what's killing
You
me.
can't afford to do that.
Yeah, you're not taking up my game space. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like nobody's doing that. And if they are doing that, then they're not playing games on it.
Get yourself a tablet.
Yeah,
Get yourself something else.
Get yourself
you're not
a
a
tablet
gamer.
for that.
Right, get you a
really
Neo
don't-
Geo or something.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't make any sense.
So I don't know, man. And now thinking about that, right? Going back to the Final Fantasy thing, there we go down the rabbit hole again. Now, yeah, that's another issue. Now, you got 3 episodes. They're supposed to be as large as Final Fantasy 13, right? So I'm assuming that's the same amount of space. So who has the space to have 4 episodes
Nobody.
on their hard drive?
Nobody. That's the answer.
Space.
8. Nobody got that type of space.
I mean,
Unless they threw a 2T drive in that joint.
Right.
Ain't nobody got that type of
We're
space.
talking about we're talking about $30 memory cards, but now you're talking about, well, now I got to go out and buy a $100 or $200 solid state drive. If I want it to be fast, that's the other issue, right?
Yep.
Now, you can buy a cheap hard drive, but is it fast? Is it gonna have the same loading speed and all that as the stock drive, which isn't really all that fast to begin with? So now you're talking about a $250 hard drive, which is probably the equivalent now with inflation and everything to our $30 memory cards, but still, that's still a lot of money to just drop on space.
It sure is.
So I can play my
It's
game.
space, and not even just space management.
Right. For my games that I already, my system that I already spent $500 on, if you're like me and got it when it first came out. So it's like, is this fair? That we're putting all this money into it, and from day one, you got to upgrade the hard drive, right? You got to and then it's like, well, you got to upgrade the hard drive, and then you got to spend. Let's just say, being fair, you got to spend $30 per episode on this game that you love so much. Man, I don't know. I think it gets to a point where it's just like, all right, are they just getting way too greedy, and everybody's just trying to get way too much money out of this because they know they can? Or is this a legitimate issue that just nobody's figured out how to manage yet? Right?
That brings up another Here we go down another hole.
You took really to this really nicely.
Yeah,
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
I love it. It's cool, dynamic. It's cool. So how are developers developing games anymore?
Right.
Like back in the day, you had one shot. You know what I mean? You had to develop a game, and it had to be very few bugs, and if they were, none of them were game breaking. They had to be complete games, and you had one shot to get it right because you're selling this cartridge, and that's going to make or break you at this point, right? They were good quality games.
Yeah.
Very true.
Now
there were no redos. There were no oops. Download this patch and it'll fix that. Yeah, that wasn't
right. Like
that
with
wasn't an option.
like the Division right now, you know, they went with the idea to make it an online only game, which is fine, but well.
Magic sold is the online only thing.
Well, yeah, I'm reserved on it as well. But I mean, if this was like one of the games of the century, I'd be a little more upset. But this is just kind of like a filler game for me, so I'm not too upset about it. But they went down the first night. You know,
I heard about that.
Stay up, and not only did it bring down that game, it brought down every other game that they have. Assassin's Creed. Not the Division. What's the other one? Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, it was bringing down every game. Just the mass amounts. And it's like they put out a patch the next day, and everything's fine. So it's like, where is the craftsmanship in these new games? Where's the
accountability?
Yeah, where's the accountability here? Are you just throwing out a shell of a game like Destiny, and then trying to dupe people into buying it? You know, the more content later, or what was that other one? Evolve. Do you guys ever get into Evolve?
I did not get into Evolve.
I tried to get into it, but I just never really got into it.
Well, you can't because it's over now. I mean,
right, exactly.
It's a shell of a game now because what they did is they gave you a shell of a game, and if you wanted the full game, you had to pay the whole 120 up front to get it. Absolutely. And it's like, is that the direction we're going? And does that worry either of you?
That worries me a lot. Like
it worries me a ton because like you said, there were no redos. So, when I bought a game for, a cartridge, $30-$40, or even, the first PlayStation before it, and even PS2, because they really didn't have a whole lot of internet. You had the
SOCOM, baby.
Yeah.
SOCOM.
Which, speaking of SOCOM, right? That's another rabbit hole, but I'm not even going to go down that road. But yeah, I mean, you knew when you picked up this disc that you were buying, or if it was, Final Fantasy or something, multiple discs, that you were buying a good quality, solid game. And you spent your hard-earned $60 that I worked at the mall for 24, 30 hours a week. That, I was getting a good quality game. My hard-earned money was being spent well. Now it's like you spend $60 and you almost know. I mean, I remember, as a matter of fact, Fallout was one of them. You pop the game in and already there's an update.
Yeah.
It just came out. How do you already have an update for it? It just
How is that possible? We're day one right now.
Yeah, this is day one. I pre-ordered this game, and already now I gotta wait 20 minutes or whatever, depending on your internet connection and your download speed and all that, and your install speed. Going back to the hard drive thing, I gotta wait 20, 30 minutes to play this game that I already spent $100 on. And now I gotta wait an hour just to play it on day one because I gotta wait for the update, or I'm getting an incomplete game. And I feel like the developers, like you said, have gotten comfortable with that of just saying, we'll patch it later. Let's just get it out so we can get this money for it, And if it's like Evolve, like that was one. Like I said, I played it, I think day one. And then I was like, "There's no way that I'm gonna buy this game," just because it was buggy and it didn't seem. And then it was online only. It didn't seem like that's the other thing with the online only thing is if nobody's interested in it, it fails, right?
It fails. It completely. It's got an expiration date, and that is when the next game comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it was funny. Like I traded in a bunch of my PS3 games, and I had SOCOM, and so I went to GameStop, and I'm just like, here, just take them all because my PS3 broke, and I didn't feel like paying and get it fixed. So I just figured I'd just trade in the games. And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, so come yeah, you might as well just make like a coaster out of that because it's the servers are down, they're never coming back up, and that game is worthless now." But at the time, I'm like, I think I spent $80 on that game because it was more because it was online only. They charge you more up front, and now it's a coaster. Like it's a frisbee for my dog to play with or whatever.
Exactly.
Uh, so
That's why I'm so against the whole online only thing, for that, and because I am a collector. Kind of like you said, Travis. I'm a big console guy. I own for almost every console I can think of, and I am proud of the fact that over the weekends I sit with my 6-year-old twins and my 7-year-old, and they play on my NES. That is 30 years old, and it still works. And I would love the fact that I would hopefully be able to pop in a disc and play a game and not have to be like, oh, you know what, I can't play this game because the servers went down 25 years ago. Like
Right.
that to me is,
You're renting it at that
yeah,
point.
it's a rent, and I shouldn't have to pay full price for a rental if I'm renting that. It's not like I'm renting or leasing a car that has, I'm not leasing a Benz or anything like that. It's not, none of these games are that good. It's really not worth all that. And these online only options, to me, I'm just like, I'm sorry, it's not worth it. It's really not worth the time. And the only reason why I'm into Destiny is because I got that joint on sale. It was half off. If it
For
wasn't,
everything.
yeah, if it was a Taken King, it had both expansions and Taken King, and it was $30 on Amazon. And if it wouldn't have been that cheap, and if I also didn't have Amazon gift card credits, there's no way I would have gotten it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, that's the issue I have. Like I have that issue with Need for Speed, and like because like I'm really trying to platinum this, and I gotta do it. But anyway, that's probably what I'm gonna do after I get off of here. But yeah, not too long ago, my router went down, right? And because thank you Comcast with your terrible routers. So my router went down. I couldn't connect to the internet, and it was like my only thing that wouldn't connect was my PS4. My phone worked. All my devices would connect. My PS4 was the only thing that would not connect to this router for whatever reason. So I go. I'm like, well, Need for Speed is at the time. I'm thinking, well, it's online. When you want it to be online because it's one of those hop in, hop out games, right? And it's like, no, it would not let me get past the start screen until I connect to the internet. So I was sitting here battling with my router, battling with my PlayStation. I'm going through the settings and trying to change the DNS settings and all these different things. And I'm going on, online and trying to change the settings in my router and all these different things, trying to get this thing to work, the gateways and all that stuff. Um, and it just won't work. And I'm just like, now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I got this game, and if my router never comes back, or if I never get a new router, I can never play this game again. It's useless. And so I spent $60 on this game, and now it's useless. Even in the age of I have internet and the servers are up, I just can't connect to the internet. Like I feel bad for the people who live in rural areas where they got satellite connection and they're getting like 3 gigs per second, and they're like, 3 megabits per second, and there's no way they can play any online games without some serious lag. Right? They're basically on 56K. So it's like, come on, man. Like that part of it, like you're basically selling me an incomplete game, even with that, because like you said, I'm renting it, I'm borrowing it until you decide it's not worth the money to keep your servers on anymore, because nobody's playing the game or a select few. And so now, hey, we're sorry, you got your money's worth already. You played it for however many hours you played it for, and more power to you. Go buy the next game.
which is crap to me, because I should be able to play an offline version, an offline campaign, or whatever. That's and pretty soon, and I see a disturbing trend because all games seem to be headed towards that. Like even sports games like Madden, like there was like the franchise mode type thing was like half of it was online dependent. And And I'm like, I ain't trying to go online and play Madden right now. And I don't even like. Even if I play Madden, I prefer to play, against someone that's with me, not online. Like I'm like, wait. Why is I gotta go online for half this?
Yeah.
Like it's a sports game, really. I can't play it on offline mode. Half the stuff I gotta do is online. That just makes there's no intrinsic value anymore with half these games.
How long do you have to play a game though before you get your money's worth? That comes another question.
That's true too, but I think I guess that's dependent on the person, right? Everybody has their preference of what they think is worth their money. It's just like you buy a car, using the Benz analogy. To me, I might never drive my Benz, and it might be 20 years old with 15,000 miles on it, and I feel like I got my money's worth. But you might want to drive it into the ground, and you still feel like you got your money's worth. You didn't get your money's worth when it crashes at 200,000 miles or whatever. So I guess that's dependent on the person.
But
exactly. But what's a good?
But it'll last
expectation?
though. It'll last long. Even if you run into the ground. So let's say you get the division and you run it into the ground. You're putting 5 hours a day into this, or you play it 1 hour a week. The servers are going to shut off, and the servers are going to be shut off, regardless of how much you personally probably play it. So like, its value to you personally, and is going to be when they shut it off and be like, oh wow, I put a lot of time in this. It was a lot of fun. Cool, I'm moving on to the next one. But for some people, if a game is that good, they don't want to let go. That's the whole reason why everybody's so excited about Final Fantasy VII. It's because we don't want to let go to how great that game was. And if so many things were online dependent, we wouldn't have that same nostalgia. There wouldn't be that same. Mario wouldn't be the hit it is if everything was so online dependent. All these games that people keep asking for, and we've been begging for the Final Fantasy VII remake for over a decade, pretty much ever since Advent Children came out. When Advent Children came out, that's when everybody started crying hardcore for the HD remake, and now we're finally going to get it, but without that nostalgia, without being able to go back and relive those moments over and over and over again, you're not going to keep having that same loyalty and that they're making all this money off of. Even every industry right now, entertainment is making all this money off of remakes.
Yeah,
but with the current format, how much do they owe us? Like I said before, you send out the cartridge, it was a standalone game, and they put all their time, effort, money into it, and then it's good. But now it's like, how much in this new format? Because we're not going back to the old format.
Yeah,
you just got to let go of that.
Now.
That's never going away. Well, so at this point, how much are they responsible to?
You say that, but that's not. I mean, it's probably not. But people vote with their dollars. And if it comes to the point where let's say you buy a game at $60, and it's not worth it. If you download that game, you can't return it. But if it's at least if it's a physical disc, you can be like, I want my money back. And obviously, if the game's not good enough people return it, things would change. But we're at a point where it's so easy to, they're like, oh well, I deleted it, and they just suck it up and let it go. And if it was free, if it was $30 or less, okay. But when it's $60. It's not like it's 50 like it was back in the day. It's a $60 game.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, I think we're in a world now where, other than, the guys like you, Magic, or, even like me, who we have our old systems or whatever, most of these kids don't know what it's like to get a full, complete game. This is all they know.
This is what they know.
This is what they know. So this is why I don't think it's ever going to go away, because, like you said, yeah, people vote with their dollars, but also you got to remember that, like, they don't know anything else. So to them, this is their Nintendo system.
Well, they ain't being raised like that.
But I mean, you like, it's funny. Like today, I was talking with some of my coworkers. and we were talking about, because like we're my company's giving out a raise soon, to a bunch of people, but well, actually to the entire division, but
Nice.
yeah, one of the guys, he's been there since 80, I think it's 88 or something like that. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I remember when I started here, he was like, we were making $5.35 an hour, and that was good money. And I'm like, $5.35 an hour couldn't even buy me a cheeseburger now. So like I'm taking, and I remember when I started at the job, we were making $10 an hour, and I thought that was good money at the time, at 19. So I was making double what he made it when he started. Obviously it's 20 years later, but it was kind of one of those things where it's just like I didn't know any better, because if I knew that, hey, well, back then 5.35 was good, and then with the inflation, maybe I would have pushed for to start at $15 an hour or whatever, because I you vote that way too, right? You either accept the job or reject it based on what they're going to start you at. So I think it's the same thing. It's all we knew at the time. Making $10 an hour in 2005 for a 19-year-old was good money. But now, even now, 10 years later, that's not even, everybody wants to start at $13, $15. So, and that's all they know. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, unless you're being taught, hey, this is how it used to be, and because of that, you need to protest or you need to take a stand. And for that, you're gonna walk into, you're gonna walk in naively and just say, "Hey, I'll take the game. I'll take that job. I'll take whatever it is that you're offering me, because I don't know anything better. I don't know anything different from what you're giving me." So that's why I don't think it's going away. But at the same time, um, I don't know, as far as how much they owe us. I think that's really subjective, I guess, because everybody is. The Division's a good example. Some people love it, some people hate it. It was a
Right.
dichotomy. Batman v Superman is another good one. Some people loved it, some people hated it. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, well, it's really subjective based on value. Like, did I waste my money going to the theater to see this? Did I waste my money buying this game?
Probably.
Um,
It's funny. I asked myself this question with Destiny. I was really big into Destiny. I have so much time and hours put into Destiny, and I'm mad at Bungie. I am mad at Bungie. I'm
oh,
mad at Destiny. I am very angry with them for the way they've approached the game, and my overall experience with them is horrible. Like, I don't even want to go back to them. Even with Destiny 2, I'm not even going to touch it.
yeah, I don't think I'm probably not gonna get it either. I
However,
think I put my time into Destiny to justify the fact that I paid $60 for it plus the
well,
DLC.
see, here's the thing: is my time playing it, the time that I put into it was fun. You know what I mean? I put, solid, 5, 6, 700 hours into that game for a total of what,
Yeah, yeah,
it's $120. I'm at that point, I'm paying pennies for an hour of entertainment.
right.
Where else can you get that? And what more do they owe me at that point?
Well, it's like they say, outside is free, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Outside is free.
outside is free.
Well, I mean,
At least that's what Mama said.
Exactly.
My parents would say the same thing too. Oh, you're not getting that $60 game. Outside is free. But um, I think, at least for me, like, yeah, I have fun playing it, but I more so I force myself to play it because I'm like, but if I don't play it, Bungie really screwed me, um, more than they already have, as far as they gave me an incomplete game from the start, and all the DLC and stuff that I bought to justify that. Oh, well, this will make the game better. This will make it more fun. Um, which, that's debatable as well, because it's like, well, it has improved some things, but at the same time there's still a lot lacking, even with Taken King and all the other expansions. um in my opinion, it's still lacking something there. But um I force myself to play it, like, I need to play Destiny, because otherwise I'm out of $120. I'm out of, whatever, how much I put into it, as far as time wise, which who knows how much time I put into it now. Um,
Well, let me ask you. Let me interrupt you. Then let me ask you both this, because since I've only been playing since December, because I put $30 into what y'all put 120 into. Um, as consumers, how does that make y'all feel? Because y'all put in a ton more time into it, obviously, than I have had the opportunity to. So,
Well, even with that, right? Um, I didn't mean to cut you off, but even with that, right? Well, I remember when you first got it, right? Remember, I was like, what? I was level 27 or 30 or
you
whatever.
were like level 27, 20. Hey, yo, you were heated though, because I leveled up so fast.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, because like there was,
You,
I don't
you
know what it
started up the
was,
game. You
TP.
get this.
It was,
I
yeah,
forgot what it was
oh,
called.
no, because I downloaded it was because I downloaded the demo. I downloaded the demo,
Right.
and because I downloaded the demo, there was some consumable I got that allowed me to
Jump.
automatically jump to level 25.
Right.
And
Now there's that, and I spent $120 plus 600 hours or whatever.
oh, it was wildly unfair, wildly, and I didn't even know I had it because I played the demo up until level 7, which is the highest level let me play, and I enjoyed it. So I was like, when I saw it on for sale, I was like, okay, let me cop this then, and I'm playing, and I'm for some reason I just happened to be looking through my inventory, which is something I rarely do on a first person shooter, and I was like, what's this? And I'm like, wait, I do this and I get to jump to level 25?
Right. You really
Duh.
wasn't sure. And so that, even stuff like that, right? That pisses me off. And I'm sure Travis feels the same way. Is like, look, we put $120 into it, and you mean to tell me all I had to do was wait a few more months, and I could have just jumped and been on the same level of everybody who wasted their money, right? Because now at this point, you wasted your money because now at this look, you got yours in December. I got mine on release day,
Right.
and now you've actually leveled up past me, right?
I am leveled up past you.
Right. So how is that fair to somebody like me, somebody like
Oh,
Travis?
it's wildly unfair. That's why I'm like, that's why I feel bad for y'all. It's wildly unfair.
But it goes back to Bungie and all these developers who is like, dude, I gave you my hard-earned money. I gave you my loyalty, right? Because I trusted you.
Based
I
on
never,
that trust, yes.
right,
Thank you for adding that because it was based on trust.
right.
Yes.
Because I've never played this game. Nobody else has ever played this game. This game is brand new. Um, you can kind of check reviews and stuff, but if I pre-ordered it, then hey, I'm already out of my $60. I can maybe return it depending on if I pre-ordered it online or not. Um, and if they feel like it's a justifiable return. But as we know with physical disc, once you open it, you're screwed. So I can maybe return it and get my money back. If it's digital, I might be able to get my full refund. But if I got the disc like me, um, you're screwed once you open the game. So you open it, you don't like it. There's no taking it back. You can trade it in and you get a third of the price back, and you don't even get real cash. You get store credit. At least as far as GameStop goes, you can probably sell it online, but then you sell it on eBay, you gotta pay seller fees, all that stuff. Um, but now we paid that money. We trusted the developers. We trusted Bungie. We trusted whoever else, um, because they're not the only culprits of this type of thing. Um, and now you just totally backhanded me and said, "Well, you know what? For all the guys that waited and were smart enough to wait, and we're not dumb enough to trust us, here you
Big
go.
like me.
Here you go. Here's
I'm going to reward that
right.
behavior.
I'm gonna reward you and let you circumvent 200 hours of gameplay to catch up to your peers in order and in light of fairness to help you catch up. I'm gonna just give this away, right? And basically give you a backhand slap at the same time for all the guys that were dumb enough to trust us. And so now, like, I know at least for me, and Travis has already voiced his opinion, I'm not getting Destiny 2 unless maybe it's the game of the like,
He's like,
Nope.
nope, not gonna be able to do it.
Listen,
Yeah.
let me tell you my Destiny experience, okay? So I started off on Xbox One, and I played my character all the way up to level 29. I didn't get to the 30. I passed the raid. I went through the hard mode on the raid. At that point, I started to realize, you know what? Look, Bungie's really kind of taking it to people. There's no clear direction here. I feel lied to. I put a lot of trust in them. There's a lot going on there, and I was like, I'm done. I'm really done with this. And then I got rid of Xbox. I started moving over to PlayStation 4. And with that came a whole new group of friends. And I had some friends who were still into PS4 or to Destiny. And at this point, the Taken King is about to come out. And the hype's coming out about that. And I'll be honest, the Taken King hype, it followed through. It was good. Like, it was a good, solid expansion, if not like a 1.5, version of the game. Yeah. At that point, I'm starting all over again on Destiny. So when Taken King came out, I went. Right at this moment in time, I have all 3 characters. I've got 3 characters leveled up to 319, and so I have put time and effort. I mean, I have the raid on farm mode, on hard mode, the challenge modes, the challenge situations. It's like those take like 5 minutes at this point. Like they're like nothing at this point. So it's like the hatred I have right now for Bungie is deep, and just the mere name of Destiny is like no, like it's not happening. I'm sorry. Yeah. Right. Well, here's the thing: is they have not. The reason for their wanting to do the refer a friend and the microtransactions had nothing to do with gaining loyalty. It had everything to do with gaining money to continue to produce content.
Absolutely. They
were behind the 8 ball in this that matter. They weren't producing content and then coming up with money for it, after they got it. They were so negative that they were needing to make money before they were able to produce any content. Right. That is not sustainable. That is not. They are trying to do what WoW did with a $15 a month subscription on top of hard copy fees. Right. They were trying to do what they did on a console. And you can't do that because you're not charging a $15 a month fee per user, per account. So this,
and I remember that was an option. Before Destiny came out, they were talking about they were thinking about doing that.
That's exactly correct. They were thinking about doing that, and they didn't do it. To be honest, I wish they would have. I really do.
If it meant for a better game, yeah, go for it.
I would have happily sunk another $5-10 a month into Destiny because, to be honest, it has some of the best mechanics around. The gunplay on it is phenomenal. I mean, it has the potential, with raids and friends and all that other stuff to be something special. But it's really falling short because all they're going off of is the copy sales.
Right.
Okay. Let me pose this question because we are killing the rabbit hole. And all right.
My favorite book, Alice in Wonderland.
I'm gonna pose this question to both of you. Okay. First to TP.
Yes.
What would it take for you to go back? What would Bungie have to do to win your loyalty back?
Wow. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna compromise on this. You give me Destiny 2. You give me Destiny 2, and I will pay a subscription. How about that?
And honestly, that to me, for anyone that bought it within probably, let's say, before the first expansion, that is something that they should probably do, or at least say, you know what, we'll give it to you half off.
Well, they have the ability to track these things about frequency played and all that stuff, because they go out and they give the straw that broke my back the first time around on Xbox One was that they went through, and at this point, purples were really hard to find. Good purples were hard to find. Yeah. And they went through and said, well, if you started playing the game and then quit, we are going to send you a purple piece in the mail to get you to come back.
See, so it's like, and this is what burned me as well. it's like they reward the ones who aren't loyal.
Correct.
Right.
I have many opinions on Destiny. I have a lot of ideas, of thoughts about what can make it better or what made it worse.
Yeah.
However, because I didn't stop playing Destiny, because I didn't show them that I hated you,
Right.
I didn't get.
You don't get the rewards.
I don't get the survey.
Yeah.
I don't get the rewards. I don't get anything at this point.
Right.
So it's like, you know what? Only thing they see is that I am playing, and that's the only thing they care about, is that I am playing, and that's tough because that's who you should be rewarding, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this case,
because
guys
they
who
figure
are
that you're satisfied because you're playing.
correct. Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's not how you win your loyal fan base. That's not how you support your loyal fan base. I mean, like I wasn't a Halo guy, right? Never
Right.
was. I played I think it was Halo 3 because one of my friends just was like he was relentless with begging me to play Halo with him. So I'm like, dude, I'm not a Halo guy. I'm a Call of Duty guy. I'm not really into Halo, but he forced me, and finally it was to the point where he was like, dude, I will give you the game.
You're playing this
You
game.
will play this game with me. I'm like, all right, fine. So he gave it to me, and you know, we played. And even then, I still wasn't really sold on it, right? So when Destiny came out, and I was just like, it's a glorified Halo, but the trailers look pretty cool. I like this idea. It's a 5-year game. It's gonna be, you know, because that's what they sold us. It's a 5-year game. It's gonna be like, wow. It's just constantly evolving. You know, it's constantly new content. All these different things. I was like, that's cool because I actually like WoW and EverQuest and all those type games. But because I was an Apple guy, I didn't play them as much.
Yep.
And then especially once my PC crashed, I just kind of gave up on them. But I liked them when I had them. So I was like, this is awesome. Finally, it comes to a console. Plus, I didn't like, you know, I don't have the best computer chair and all that stuff. So I'm more comfortable on my couch playing my console games. So I was like, this is awesome. It's a MMO, but on a console. Like, this has never been done before, and it's great. 5-year game, and maybe even turn into 10 years, you know, because like we talked about before, it's so easy for them to patch something in. Just boom, here you go, and here's a whole new level, a whole new world. All you gotta do is just download this little patch. It might take you, you know, 30 minutes or whatever, and boom, you just open up a whole new world of possibilities. So for me, I'm like, this is awesome, but then that's not what we got. We got, especially, you know, the ones who didn't get the full game, like Magic, like, you know, we got a half a game that barely worked. You know, it barely worked in the terms of like having some kind of story mode or some kind of direction. There was no direction. You just kind of jumped in and you're just kind of like, okay, what do I do now?
It's all in the Grimoire cards.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That no one reads.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually read them, but you know, it's kind of like, okay, it really wasn't there. It didn't feel like a full game, right? Even if you read all the cards, you did all the stuff. Like I signed up on Bungie.com and all that stuff, and it still didn't feel like a full game to me. It still felt like something was missing. And then boom, here comes Taken King. But now, oh yeah, you got to pay for that, you know? And it's like, what?
It's like, no, you owe this to me.
Yeah.
You owe this to me.
This should have been
Yeah.
the first part.
You guys remember the opening sequence, right? Where the little ghost comes to find you and says, "Oh, you're the one."
Yeah.
You remember going into that area where the ghost leaves you and it's a dark place and you got those things crawling around on the ceilings, and I think it's the Fallen. You didn't see that anywhere else in the game.
Nope.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that, Magic?
I did.
Yeah, it's like that is what they gave us. That was the promise that they gave us. You're going to have enemies coming from the walls. You're going to have these lasers that you got to shoot down that you never saw again in the game.
Yeah.
And
Well, I did see that once. I did have one where I had to shoot those lasers across to get somewhere. But it was once. It happened one time.
And I think that came in a patch. So that wasn't
was
even
part-
in the original game. That was just in the opening sequence. And, you know, it's like that was the promise that they were selling in the beta, and that's what everyone was hyping off of. Is this is cool, this is great, and these are things that you never saw anywhere else in the game. You still don't see a lot of that stuff in the game.
Nope.
You know,
Nope.
I don't know. I'm pretty upset.
Yeah, Destiny for me is like, I feel like Destiny for me is like, going back to an
Okay, no. Just
and
what
you
would it
end up
what,
marrying her, and that's how I feel about Destiny.
what would it take? What would it take to bring you back?
For me,
Yep.
I don't. I'd say completely.
Because I know the only reason why you play really right now is
because of you.
It's because I'm playing.
For me, I think I say, either completely abandon Destiny 2, and whatever you're gonna do for Destiny 2, put it in a patch for Destiny 1, or like Travis said, give me Destiny 2 for free, because of my loyalty, and give me the game that was promised to me. Give me the 5-year game with, full expansions and the raids and the world. You don't even see the world events anymore. They're rare, and the ones that you do see, it's always the same world event, right? It's exactly it.
I had no reason to go into those anymore. There was
right,
none.
because you were like, and then once you hit a certain level, those are like easy. You can do those by yourself.
I soloed them. I would solo them. No problem.
Exactly. So
they do once you hit a certain level, they do make it easy. I was saying to David the other day, TP, like I had first in my challenge to try to take the Taken King, I was probably like, I want to say like level like early 30s, and I forget what my light was at. And me and my boy Tim, we were like, we can do this. We'll try it. And it probably took us 5-6 hours to get to Taken King, and another 2 hours trying to beat him, and he was just kicking our butts. So we were like, forget this. So now I'm playing like a week or two ago, and we were like, and we haven't tried since, because we were like, we got our butts handed to us. Now I'm level 40, my light's 301. He's at level 40, his light's like 275 or something like that. We're like, let's try playing and Taken King again. Let's see if we can get him. Let's do this breacher side. And I think it took us half an hour.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not long at all, right?
It was like, whoa, like this took us forever.
Yeah, I remember when I'm sure Travis remembers this too. I remember when Vault of Glass was impossible.
Yeah. Oh man.
I remember guys were going on. Guys were going online. I know I was doing it. Guys were going on Game Church like, yo, I need help with Vault of Glass. Like, who wants to do a raid with me in Vault of Glass? Because like I can't do this by myself. And then it's like you get to a certain level, and it was like, Vault of Glass, what? That's easy. I got like 20 legendaries from there. Like,
yeah,
it was
like whatever.
Yeah. So it was like, I just go there when I need a new legendary or a new rare item,
which is cool. I like that. That's how WoW was. You'd struggle and struggle. The struggle was like there. It was like you struggled as a team, and then you triumphed as a team, and then you came back for more.
Right.
Even when you got it on farm mode, you came back for more because it's like I'm invested. Destiny brought that back to me. I love Destiny for that. I will give them the credit for that because I've been missing that since my WoW days. I am just not invested in any game that I play until Destiny. I became invested because it was playing with a group. It was playing with the guys. We'd have our raid nights that we'd come back for, and
that's why the pain, and that's why it hurts so much.
Exactly. It's like you tempted me so much. You teased me. You teased me.
Back to, like I said, it's the girlfriend that cheated on me.
Yeah, exactly. That hooker cheated on me.
Yeah, but I'm gonna come back because
you loved me, but
someone really needs to write a love song about Destiny. About how really sappy, like really 90s R&B style. Broke my heart. Yeah, that's really what Destiny did to a whole lot of y'all. Yeah, so, I feel like I'm that dude that she left y'all for.
That's exactly right. And I can't even. Here's the thing: I can't even be mad at you.
Yeah, you can't even be mad.
I'm like, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. So, let me pull us out of the rabbit hole because we spent like an hour and a half just on Final Fantasy.
Let's let's move on. Let's move on to the diamond. To the diamond.
Yeah. All right. Let's do.
First, previous episode we had talked about whether baseball was still America's pastime compared to with the football being America's sport. And Adam LaRoche's retirement recently, if you didn't hear, he retired from the White Sox because the White Sox didn't want his kid around the clubhouse as often as he was, and he wanting to spend time with his kid, and anyone plays 160 some odd baseball games, and you're there doing baseball from spring to, if you're really good, into October. That's a lot of time away from your family on the road, and having your kid in the clubhouse is, to me, not that big of a deal. And Adam did the noble thing. Obviously, he's made plenty of money, and he walked away from the game. But I want to hear your feelings, because I have my own very strong feelings on just the fallacy on Chicago's part with this. But I want to know what y'all think about this stand that Adam took, choosing family over the game.
I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna start. I've got some strong feelings on this.
Go for it.
All right. I'm gonna bring up two names. Okay. And these are two names that one's a pretty big deal. The other one's not quite a big deal, but everyone's heard of them. Okay, Prince Fielder.
Okay.
And
Of
Ken
course.
Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey
those,
Jr.
Those are both big. Those are both big names for me. I'm a Detroit guy. I'm a Tiger fan.
So you get it. You understand.
And Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite player of all time.
All time, mine too. Mine too. I try to explain the kid to my kid, and he's getting it. He's understanding. But you don't have those two players, at least in their capacity that we have them in, without them being around the clubhouse, without them being in the clubhouse around major league players, learning the game, having a passion for it, playing it the right way. You just don't have that, and I can probably deduce what you guys talked about on the last thing without even being here, as far as it being America's pastime, and it's not. And
thank you. You're on
Well,
my
see,
side.
here's the thing.
See, I argue that it is, and here's why. In short,
Okay.
baseball to me is still America's pastime because it's such a easy to do game. You can pick up a ball and glove and just go out there and play catch. You can pick up a bat and go out there with your family at picnics, family reunions. It's something that everybody can play. Whether it's baseball or softball, you can play it almost at any age with your people, with your family. It's just something you can easily pick up and do.
Let me ask you
this.
this.
You can't just pick up and play. Football is such a much harder game. It's a much more demanding on the body, same as basketball. I agree that the sport, the love, is definitely more on football and basketball, and maybe even hockey's gained ground over baseball. But as far as just the pastime, there's no game except for maybe soccer. Which, if I'm soccer, I'm pouncing on the fact that it's just as easy to pick up and play a soccer game as it's a baseball game. No other sport is just as easy to pick up.
And see, but here's the problem, and I think this is where soccer excels in everywhere but the U.S., is that baseball's tough. You can't just pick up a ball and throw it. Each of you have to have a glove, and if you want to be able to bat, you got to have a bat, and that goes for every player on the field. And not only that, but you can't get a pickup baseball game. You can't go out there and find 9 guys or 18 guys exactly. You can go out and you can play 1-on-1, you can play 2-on-2, you can play 5 versus 5, you can go half court, you can go 21, you can go 1 versus 1 versus 1. I mean, you can have so many variations of basketball, and all you need is a basketball.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Same thing with soccer. I mean,
it's same thing with soccer.
You just got to know how to kick a ball.
Or even football. You look at this and say, okay, 2-hand touch below the waist, let's go. And then
but it never ends that way.
Of course, it never ends that way.
Yeah.
That's
the
the way it starts.
You can do it, right?
Right, you can do it, and that's kind of preferred, I think.
Yeah,
that's my thought.
That's the argument.
Which is true. Which is true, and I'm not discounting that. But when you're 60 years old, you can't do that. where you can pick up a bat and a ball at 6 years old and still have fun, with your grandkids and your nieces and whatever. That's still why you see baseball and softball being so prevalent among work sports leagues and things of that nature, because it's something that you can do for a long, long time.
Well, I'll argue the opposite because like my company, um, we don't have a baseball team, but we have a basketball team, and they're working on a flag football team.
Right. Yes.
And mind you, my company is worldwide. Matt, you know where I work, so you know. Our company is worldwide. Oh, and we just actually just recently had a soccer tournament in Vegas. But we have every year we have a basketball tournament worldwide, or I should say nationwide. They're pushing for worldwide, but right now it's nationwide, where guys pick up their team, and you have tournaments within your state, and then the winners of those tournaments go on to the national tournament, which is held in and once I say this, everybody probably will figure out where I work at, but it's held in Chicago at the Chicago Bulls State court.
What's the United Center?
Yeah, United Center.
I know the names of every arena.
So so now everybody knows I work at United, but so we have that. Same thing with soccer. We have the same thing. You have you pick up your teams, and the best team of each United station goes on to go to national tournament in Vegas, or well, I don't know where it's going to be next year, but this year it was in Vegas. We don't have a basketball team. We don't have, a baseball team. We don't have a softball team, and I haven't heard anything about anything in the works. So I probably would argue the opposite of like even the company wide stuff of the old company softball team. I would even argue that that's going away in preference of basketball, flag football, soccer, just because they're more popular sports. Maybe not because they're the easiest to pick up and play when you're 65 years old, but they're the more popular. They're the ones that guys are more interested in.
They're definitely more popular, and I'm all for those games taking over and overseeing baseball, because baseball is very boring in a lot of aspects.
I think ultimately that's it right there. That's what it comes to.
That is it, and I'm 100% with you, TP. Prince Fielder is a couple years older than I think he's a couple years older than we are.
Right.
And of course Ken Griffey Jr. And I watched Prince with Cecil, and I watched Griffey play, and and seeing them in the clubhouse. I mean, just watching Griffey play with his dad, that was like so cool. And I remember I was actually watching the game where they both hit a home run in the same game, and it's like, this is nothing like that. Like, you can't do that in basketball. Steph Curry and Del Curry are not going to be able to suit up together.
Correct.
You can't get that in football, because you just don't last that long. Maybe hockey can have something like that, but baseball is one of those few that the passion starts so young for that game, and if you don't start off young, you're not going to enjoy it, because other games are more adrenaline pumping, they're more exciting, and you have to really have a passion for baseball.
True.
And part of the reason I think is because they are doing this dumb stuff with kicking kids out of locker rooms, and that's why Latin American countries are beating the mess out of us, when it comes to international play, and the Japanese are beating the mess out of us when it comes to international play, especially when you look at the Little League World Series. And being here in Pennsylvania, I've gone in person. I watch almost every year, and we get trashed a lot. Unless we're cheating, like that team from Chicago that had half the kids were like end up being ineligible or whatever.
Right.
We're getting trashed, and if it wasn't for Monet Davis giving us somebody to root for, and actually being within the age group, the Japanese and the Latin American countries are killing it.
Yeah.
And actually, found myself rooting for the Japanese team, especially because they were doing that cool, like that Usain Bolt type thing. Every time they hit a home run, I was like, "Go ahead, Japan!" They had mad swag going on. I was like, "All right, I'm cool. I'm with this."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely, especially with baseball probably being, other than basketball, having one of the longest seasons of as far as games played, right? Um, how do you justify this guy he's given 110% for your organization? He can't spend time with his family. And I think that's where I take offense to it. It's just like, this guy's giving you 160 games plus spring training plus every. I mean, come on, this guy's giving you 365 days a year basically. Um, to you and your organization, and you're not even. I can't spend a
My
day or
kid can't
two.
hang. Yeah, my
Right,
kid
my
can't
kid
hang
can't
out
hang
here.
out here, and I mean, what is he, a nuisance? Like, what?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay. Now hold on. That's the question. Okay.
No, but see, that may be the question. But when you're a dying sport, and not just a dying sport, but the whole shtick with baseball is not the game. It really never has been about the game. It is about the experience of a baseball game. There's no sport experience in this country like a baseball game, which is why minor league clubs thrive very well a lot of the times, because the experience is still so unique. You've never had more access to players than any other sport than baseball, because it's part of the unwritten rules of baseball that you sign autographs to fans, and they're right there. They're at the dugout. They're right there. You're catching fly balls, and there's just that whole almost reach out and touch them.
You're in the game.
Part. Yeah,
That's
you
true.
feel like you're participating in the game.
Right.
Where basketball, you can chant, you can cheer, and you're rooting and stuff, but you can't interact that close with them unless you're paying thousands of dollars to sit courtside. And those aren't the real fans anyway. Those are the people sitting there for status.
Right.
Absolutely.
But if you go to a baseball game, you can get real close, and you're there, and you feel, and they throw, somebody will throw their hat into the stands, or whatever, and hand a kid a ball, and hand a kid. I mean, how many balls do they give away during every baseball game?
Right.
I mean, you got some of those outfielders, whoever, they used to throw the ball in the stands every time they make a catch.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they
yeah.
go through 20, 30, 40 balls a game,
Right.
just keeping the fans happy. So when you have like here in PA, or Lehigh Valley area, we have a AAA team that's not good. I mean, they're not good. They're affiliate. They're not good. But I'll tell you, that place is packed almost every home game, 10,000 strong, because it's a great experience. It's family friendly. The kids love it, and you could have a football team here, and it's not going to have that same. The event is just not the same.
Well, that's because
And
you guys are stabbing people at your football games, but
Hold on though. Let's look at this like we did the video games. Okay. Let's look at this from a business perspective.
right.
Perhaps the Chicago White Sox. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
okay,
Perhaps those Chicago White Sox didn't want to impose this ban.
That's absolutely true.
Maybe they didn't want to do that. Maybe they were forced to do that.
by
Because,
Major League Baseball.
well, no. Let's say, okay, because there have been a few players that have come out and spoke on behalf of LaRoche and that they didn't have a problem, but
lot of them, yeah.
it was not unified. It wasn't even unified enough to make them protest, right? Which tells me that there were people in that clubhouse who were not for it. And the manager came out and spoke out, and he said, listen, it had become a growing problem, okay? And this is not anything new that we had talked to him about. We had talked to him and said, hey, maybe don't bring him around so much. We're not saying don't bring him at all. Maybe just don't have him like 24/7 all access so that these other guys can work. Because after all, it is work. and I mean they're professionals, and they came to him previous to let him know, hey, maybe tone it down a little, and he refused. So what happens? Let's read between the lines here. What happens when you have that kid? Okay, we all know that kid. We all, we some of us have kids. I don't know if all of us do. Some of us have kids, and some of us are okay with most kids. But then you always have
that
one
kid.
kid. You are like, I want to strangle and punch you at the same time. What if this?
That's a New York kid,
right? Yeah, exactly. What if that kid, Adam LaRoche's kid, was that kid?
And that's definitely the other side of the argument that I could see.
So do you can't go to Adam LaRoche and say, hey, look, your kid's a pain in the butt.
Why not?
Take it. And that's a good question. Why not? Because
if the kid's really a nuisance.
Back in 1950.
That's a thing then.
Back in 1950, 1960, 1970, 1980s, and I'm even going to go into the 90s, you can say that. Okay? You can say that to them. Yeah. But can we really say that anymore?
Yeah, it is definitely a different time. It's a
different time.
Yeah, it's such a sensitive.
Exactly. Entitlement, sensitivity. There's a lot going on with that. Can you do that? Can you go up to Adam LaRoche and say, this is not a global ban. This is just your kid.
I'm going to challenge that in this. Baseball is one of the slowest sports to adjust to anything. They are still having these dumb, unwritten rules of complaining about bat flips and all types of other dumb, ridiculous stuff that they want to argue and complain about. They have so many unwritten rules, it blows my mind. So I would say their culture as baseball would be, if any major sport, that would be the one sport where you could say, you know what, your kid's annoying, and your kid's annoying half the people of the clubhouse, and you need to bring your kid around less. I can't. I mean, basketball, there's no way. Football, they wouldn't be able to give away with that because they're so polarizing. But baseball, I would say within that culture still, when they're still throwing at each other because of the dumbest things in the world, I think within that culture, and then that's still acceptable, they would be able to say, hey, you know what, your kid's annoying.
I don't know. I want to. Yeah, I don't know either. I don't think you can. I don't think. Here's the thing: is I think the White Sox were trying to be sensitive to LaRoche and say, look, we don't want to come out and say your kid's annoying because then that's going to make you want to leave, and we don't want you to leave. So what they did is they just put a global ban on all kids in the clubhouse and said, we're going to make this global. Even the kids we want there, it's global now. No one gets to, and he ended up still leaving anyway.
Right. And I think that's what it comes down to is, okay, is he that kid, right? And then how do we handle that as an organization? And then I guess you could say, you can argue both sides, right? Because all of us, I'm sure, we're all men, we have families, and we have, I'm sure, full-time jobs. We don't take our kids to work every day either. And we spend a lot of time there. We get technically one day a year, right? Take your child to work day. And in an industry like mine, I don't even get that, because of security risk and security issues. We have a take your child to work day, but it's got to be on your day off, and you have to be with the kid at all times because of security. So it's my kid never really would get to see what I really do. It's kind of like we just take him on this nice little tour. Yeah, and it's like, this isn't really what Daddy does, but this is close enough because of security and things like that. So I guess I could see both sides. I think we look at it differently for sports stars.
Well, I didn't say as sports stars. I think as fans,
high profile.
Well, it's not even that. It's if kids weren't so an integral part of the culture and love of baseball. If this was basketball or football, it wouldn't even be a story.
Well, it was a story, right? Steph Curry and his daughter. But the interviews.
Oh, that was just Riley's so freaking cute. But here's the thing. Kids at
hey, but Jordan to the interviews no more. right?
But players that's because he didn't control her. Kids have been. CP3 has his kids there all the time. Kobe had his kids there. Mike had his kids there at press conferences all the time. Like, players have had their kids at the press conferences all the time. That is nothing new. That's not in the locker room. Baseball has been, for long as I've ever researched baseball, kids have been in the locker room. Kids have been bat boys. Kids have been in the locker room forever. It's always been a huge part of that culture, which is why people have such fond memories, because they were a bat boy for 5 years, and that just continued to foster their love for the game. And other kids, they just have this, like, and they got to hand pro players a bat for 10 games or whatever. Like, you don't see that in basketball, because the ball boys really don't get to interact with the players all that much. They've got their own individual coaches and stuff, and football, you don't even have kids really out on the field, or being able to interact with the players really. Like, baseball is so ingrained with that. And the White Sox probably had some reasons, no doubt about it, but it just sends such a bad message to the fan base and to baseball fans at its core. It's like, it almost says we don't want kids around anymore. Well, if you don't get kids to want baseball, hey, your dying sport's gonna really, really die, and people are really not gonna care about your sport anymore.
Yeah.
Because the sport, the game hasn't been the same since the strike.
You're right. It hasn't. It hasn't been the same.
And that was what, 94?
We've also been, just to be clear, we have also been devoid of any stars since the strike.
This is true too.
There have been stars. We still have Barry Bonds, but
There's the asterisk of
that was part of the strike. That was part of the steroids.
Him and Clemens and
yeah. That's all the stars. We haven't had legit stars since the strike until now.
But when you think about the stars. We mentioned Prince, we mentioned Griffey, you just mentioned Bonds,
right?
And Clemens, guys who were kids who grew up
right
in the clubhouse, who grew up on the ballparks. Bonds' dad played. Bonds was always in the clubhouse.
Right.
Like, these players that were great grew up because they spent so much time around ballparks.
Of course.
And if you're, if Adam LaRoche's kid had any thoughts of playing Major League Baseball, they're probably fleeting somewhere now to some other sport.
Agreed, but what has a bigger impact? The kids of the current players or the kids of the non-players? What has a bigger impact on the future?
Of the sport, the kids and non-players.
The non-player kids, right? But if that's the case, they got to hold on to something. They gotta have some sort of headline. They gotta have some sort of hero.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my son had zero interest in baseball. He played, but he really wasn't like living and drinking and sleeping and eating baseball until Mr. Mike Trout came along. And now all of a sudden, this kid can't get enough baseball. In fact, he went out today. The only thing he wanted for his birthday was an Angels hat. You know what I mean? Like, right? The kid, he's got Trout sneakers. You know what I mean? They're the ugliest. They look like
he had sneakers.
Oh, he's got sneakers, and they look like Trout. They look like a fish on his feet. I'm not even joking.
God.
Ugliest shoes in the world. I would buy them, but but that's what he's rocking right now. And this is a true, real star. You got him, you got Bryce Harper, you got Chris Bryant. These are real stars right now who are kind of emerging and sucking these kids in at this time.
And those guys are, all three you guys mentioned, are highly accessible.
Correct. In a way that no one has ever been accessed before. The other day, Mike Trout, I'm going to tell you two things real quick. They were supposed to come to Salt Lake. That's where I'm from, by the way. I live in Salt Lake. We are the AAA affiliate for the Angels. And they were supposed to come and play our AAA team, Mike Trout and those guys. It happened to snow that day. It got snowed out. And it was kind of cool because Mike Trout on Instagram posted a picture of our field with a jovial post saying, "I still would have played."
Nice.
And it's like, that sucks me in. Like I'm there.
It's like, yeah, he still loves it. He's not
exactly. And the other on Facebook, this was like, in fact, I may have seen this today. Mike Trout threw up the W on for his post, and some guy replied to that post and said, "Hey, by the way, you know, my brother passed, and you were a big hero of his, and you know, I just want to thank you for what you're doing." Mike Trout responds to him, and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me right now! Like, this is a level of access that's unheard of. You know what I mean? This has not happened before." And I mean, like you said, it's an unwritten rule. You go to the ballpark and you show up an hour early so that you can hang out around the dugout and have them sign your ball. Exactly. This is taking it to a whole nother level. And this is making it, I don't even have to go to the ballpark to get a piece of that. I can be right here at my home on my phone getting a piece of that, which is really, really cool.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think ultimately I'm partial to it because of the history of the game and the history that has brought these players' kids up and the products that we've gotten from that. You know, I love that part of baseball. I love the historical aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But at the same point, I think, you know what? I think it's okay. I think it's okay to put the ban on kids in the clubhouse. I think that's not where – I don't think that's going to hurt anything in the long run. I think that I'm going to chalk it up to this is just a politically correct thing to do because it was a bratty kid, and that's the end of it. I don't know. That's just my thought.
Well spoken. Well said. Well, let's move on to a little lighter topic. We mentioned the great Barry Bonds. If you're not aware, Bonds is a hitting coach for the Miami Marlins. And during spring training, the Marlins decided to have a friendly home run derby that included Giancarlo Stanton and the other bats of the Miami Marlins. And said home run derby was won by Barry Bonds. How much baseball was left in Barry, do you think, that we missed out on because of this whole, you know, steroid law case scandal?
You know what? Oh, sorry. You know what? I'll go after. I don't want to dominate.
Nah, you good. You go first.
Are you sure? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very outspoken and very opinionated.
That's what we like here.
Good.
That's
all
what
right.
we do.
Right now, as we speak, at 53 years old, Michael Jordan can go and dominate those summer pickup games that all the pros go do with each other. In fact, current pros, like including Dwayne Wade and LeBron and Curry and all those guys, say that Michael Jordan is a handful when they play. He's 53 years old. He can do it, but can he do it for a season? Can he do the grind every day, every night? Can he go on the road? Can he abuse his body every day? So yeah, Bonds, once you learn how to hit a ball, once you learn the mechanics of hitting a ball, you can hit a ball. And that's just going to stay with you until you can no longer swing that bat. But can he really do it? And that's what you really have to look at as a professional. It's not whether I can still do it. Most of them can still do it for far long after they retire. It's, can I do this and sustain this for an entire season?
If he's DHing, why not?
But once again, you're looking at you got to look at the whole picture. You got to look at the picture.
I'm looking at well, not right now, no.
Right.
At his current age.
Of course.
I'm saying 5 years or less from when he last played.
Right.
I definitely think he should have been DHing somewhere in the American League and probably even eclipsed 800 home runs.
But is that important to him?
I'm not saying it was. Honestly, I think he still wanted to play. I mean, if it wasn't for all
the scandals,
the scandal, he would have still been playing.
Yeah, that's very possible. And if that's something he wanted to do, but he was forced out, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I really think we lost, probably 3 or 4 seasons of good baseball drama out of him because of what still hasn't been substantiated.
You know who we're seeing that from right now, right? And I'm not trying to switch tracks and go down another rabbit hole.
Well, that's what we do.
The big fundamental, Tim Duncan. That's what we're seeing from him right now.
Yeah,
we got every bit and every ounce of his prime, and now
and
he
Ginobili and Parker too.
Exactly.
He
is now sticking around, DHing for the Spurs. That's exactly what he's doing. He's throwing his 20 minutes in and coming in crunch time situations and doing the things that he needs to do when he needs to do them, and that's it. Which is crazy. That's and here's the thing: is it's not even those big three that are carrying them right now. It's Kawhi Leonard, exactly, yeah, and Aldridge, yep, exactly, yeah. Which is scary because they are the scariest second seed in the history of the NBA right now.
Yeah, I mean, if Golden State wasn't on their tear, we're talking about two teams that if they actually, I don't know if they can now since they lost last night, but you're talking about two teams who could have possibly had 70-win seasons.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
That which is crazy. The same time.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, and in the same conference.
What's in the same conference?
Yeah, I mean that's just unheard of, unfortunately. Anyways, I didn't mean to derail anything, but
but that's a great segue. That's a great thing. That's exactly what Duncan is doing, and I personally feel that we got robbed a bit of that because and to me, a lot of people have their opinions on steroids in baseball, and I'm a big thing of if you were breaking the rules at the time, then you deserve to be punished, and if you weren't breaking the rules at the time, then they should let it go, and there never should have been Congress hearings and all that ridiculous crap because it's baseball. I'm sorry, there's a whole lot more pressing things in the world that Congress should have been looking into than steroids in baseball. That's just my 2 cents on that, and you really rob fans of being able to enjoy Clemens and Bonds play for a couple more years, or other players for they're enjoying those years of baseball, because you've got other people who have cheated and gotten caught, and they're getting rewarded. What's Nelson Cruz? I mean, when he got suspended, and then he went and signed that huge deal with the Rangers, I think. Uh-huh. And the shortstop that was on my Tigers, I forget. We suspended him, and that's why we traded for Jose Iglesias. And then he went and signed some big deal somewhere else. And these guys got caught. These guys, there was no doubt. These guys just got caught.
You know what?
Period.
And I don't know if this is an appropriate question for now, but if not, I definitely want to tackle this another time. Should we allow steroids?
It's just tough because there's so many products out there. I mean, I remember when everyone was talking about McGuire. McGuire, he's like, what he was taking is illegal now, but most of the stuff he was taking wasn't illegal at the time. To me, if it's not illegal at the time, then you're not cheating.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not cheating unless it's on the books that it's illegal. So when Manny Ramirez was taking Ritalin or whatever he was taking, or the woman's hormone drug he was taking to increase his focus, if it's not on the list, they're not cheating.
Well, but why not just open it up? I mean, the way it is right now, they're finely tuned athletes. They get paid millions of dollars to entertain us. Let's really make this entertaining. You know what I mean? Let's open this up and let's say, there is no banned substance. Whatever you want to do to your body, it's your choice. It's your choice. You're making enough money. You're an adult. This is your career. If it's cut short because of injury, fine. Whatever you got to do. But right now, what we're saying is, you know what? Let's get some Formula F1 race cars right now, and let's have them all run off of unleaded. And it's like, well, why? Why are we doing that? Let's let them juice up. Let's let them get big, because it still takes skill to hit a baseball. You know what I mean?
It still takes skill, but then they're going to say, well, not everyone's on a level playing field, because you've got guys who are making $80,000, and you've got guys who are making $20 million. Some guys can afford access to it, some guys can't.
So now we're talking about individuals being sponsored rather than the teams?
Well, they're getting the drugs individually, so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So now we got Barry Bonds sponsored by Pfizer. You know what I mean? Instead of Pfizer Stadium.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are we afraid that the money's going to go to the athletes?
Oh yeah.
Instead of the owners?
Yeah. They of course. They're going to do all they can to keep the money going to the owners and to the athletes.
Right. Exactly. I don't know. It's just one of those things that always, rolled around in my head. Should we just allow it? Just throw it out there? I mean, can you imagine how much more entertaining football would be?
Well, see, there's a difference with football because I'm big against those. I'm big. I wouldn't do any in football just because of how violent the game is.
Oh yes, that's another topic. In fact, we
because I played football. I'm from a football family.
Right.
I've got both sides of my family. We have people that play pro, play D1. Like football is in my family's blood, and most of them will tell you, while most of them they didn't take anything. Like the most supplements they would take is creatine.
Right.
Like we were not supplement people. One of my cousins, I'll shout him out, Shannon Sharp. I mean, Shannon, he pumped. Everybody knows how hard he worked to pump up. He's not a pill popper. He's not a powder guy. He's a natural athlete, and he didn't have many injuries. You got a lot of guys out there, and especially my concern because is because if they were popping to make them stronger, faster, whatever. If they were tackling properly and people weren't getting hurt and getting on the concussions and stuff, then I probably wouldn't care because guys in rugby don't have that problem and all the injuries that the NFL players have to deal with. So if they actually know how to wrap and drive and tackle properly, then a lot of my concerns with that honestly would be alleviated because they would be proper tackling for them. Right. But you have these guys that they try to do these Madden big hits in real life and try to knock dudes' heads off, and that's where a lot of these injuries and stuff come from. And you've got an extremely violent game that's even more violent now, that people are really starting to get an understanding of how bad, these guys are putting their bodies into car accidents with each other, 17 weeks out of the year.
Right.
And it does a lot of damage, and I'm with you. These guys are pro athletes. What they put into their body, technically should be their choice. But when it comes to a point where you could possibly cause, death on the field from someone overhyping, over pumping, and the mental state problems there, that gets a little iffy for me. I'm not worried about people's mental state of a baseball diamond. And if they want to get into a fight because someone threw a ball too close to their head, I'm all for it. I love baseball fights. They're some of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's entertainment to me. Right. Football on the hand, that is something else. I've seen way too many scary hits without steroids involved to want to see that in football. Basketball, that's an iffy one. But to me, basketball is, you're going to let it do it, you let it in basketball because everybody's paid well enough to be able to afford their own drugs because you only got 15 guys that are getting paid anyway. The league minimum is like $1 million nowadays, so they ain't got no excuses talking about they can't afford to get pills or whatever. So that's one game I would be like, okay, whatever, don't ban anything. Let them do whatever they're going to do.
Right. But see, there's also the more you pump yourself up, the more effective you're going to be, but the more prone to injury you're going to be. So you got to kind of balance it out and say, okay, well, I'm not going to go out and pump everything I can. You know what I mean? There's going to be a fine balance there, and it's going to get better. I mean, you start allowing these to be legal, and the technology is going to get better, and it's going to be more refined. And it's going to be more safe. I don't know, just lots of things there. But we do need to talk about the violence of football as another topic. Because
that's a whole.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole nother dimension right there. Dimension. It really is. About that. Yeah, but that's something I want to talk about.
I will just say this, like with the idea of steroids and different things in football and other sports, especially football and basketball too, probably. when you got these young guys coming in, 18, 19, straight out of high school, some of them, can they be trusted to be responsible enough to say, well, let me manage my drugs properly because I don't want to get hurt? Or is it going to be, I just need to be the strongest, fastest, hardest hitting, when it comes to football anyway, athlete out there, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And if that means I OD, or that means that I tear a bicep or whatever, because I'm pushing my body way past its limits, especially at 18, 19, I'm still developing. Guys stop at what, 22? So my body's still developing. I'm still developing. Can they be trusted? We know the older guys can because they've been through that. Some of them have been through injuries.
I disagree.
I'm not saying all of them.
No, not saying I shouldn't say that. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter because, look, especially talking about basketball. Let's face it. 80% of NBA players smoke weed. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we all remember the tragedy of Len Bias.
Of course.
Guys like Roy Tarpley, talented, who couldn't stay in the league because of drugs. These guys are putting stuff into their bodies, whether it's legal or illegal. And when it comes to, whether they're, what choices they're going to make, if they're 18 years old, they're adults. They can go to war. They can die for the country. They are going to make whatever choices they're going to make, whether they're sound or not sound. They're going to make choices. Now, we hope that they would have been raised well enough, have parents or mentors, people that are there to give them good, sage advice, and that they'll make smart decisions. But they're going to make decisions, and most of them are probably not going to be good because of their their youthfulness, their inexperience, and
absolutely
at times not willing to listen to people who have been around the block.
Absolutely. So this is what I'm saying. So we open up that door. We open up Pandora's box and say, you know what? We don't care anymore. Do whatever you want. It's your body. Are we really opening Pandora's box and saying, well, we know that you're smoking weed. We know you're doing these things on the side, but now, as part of your performance, go ahead and take that stuff too. And, we're kind of not managing you on that. So, you know what? If you OD on steroids, oh well. If you OD on cocaine or whatever else that you're putting in your body that's illegal, federally, then hey, we can't manage that, right? And he was just a bad kid that made a bad decision. But if we're saying now, hey, we're allowing this.
Well, you can still keep it to federal regulations. You can still say if it's illegal to do, then it's still going to be banned in our league. But, I mean, if you want to drink the lining of a rhino's horn in order to, get better, then go ahead. That's not illegal.
Right.
But we're suddenly banning it because people have found use for it. You know what I mean? Let them do that. Well, yeah, you can't do cocaine, and yeah, you can't go off and smoke weed, but sure,
well,
yeah.
Actually, in the NBA they can. It's a one non-bad substance, but people often overlook that.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I look at this and say no professional athlete is being forced into this.
Absolutely.
It's voluntary participation, and they are making we're talking an obscene amount of money. The worst of the worst in their profession is making 7 figures.
Absolutely.
It depends upon the sport.
Well, but I'm as an example. You know what I mean? I'm just saying this is what it is.
They're making at least 6.
They are making a very comfortable
because the worst and worst baseball wise, you're talking some dude playing single A who's making $17,000.
Right. Correct.
Now if you're talking the NBA, that's different. Those dudes are making dollars. You're talking football, then you got a guy who's making $50,000-$60,000 at the worst.
Right. But either way, they're still throwing that risk. That's still their choice to risk that in order for that really big payday of the $20 million a year in any sport. You know what I mean? this is their choice. This is their gamble. I mean, life is full of gambles. Life is full of choices. This is their gamble. Why are we saving them from themselves at the expense of our own entertainment? Or why are we banning them from the Hall of Fame? Why are we cutting short Barry Bonds' career just because he wants to take a substance that's completely illegal everywhere else?
I guess it's I guess too. I mean, probably playing devil's advocate a little bit, but I guess it's also in fairness of keeping the sport pure. And also these guys are role models, right? So do we want to advertise that to our kids? Hey, Barry Bonds takes supplements, so why can't you at 12? You know what I mean?
Well, kids are taking supplements.
Well, yeah,
but there's kids are taking
difference.
creatine at crazy
Right? Yeah, I was
ages.
taking creatine at 14, but
Right.
I mean, do you want to? How far do you want to go with that?
Well, but that asks another question, because right now my son, he's 14 years old. If he knows right now that I am going to be pure and steroids are not allowed and I'm going to try and get into this legit, well, now all of a sudden baseball is an option for him.
Right.
But if he knows that in order to compete at that high level, that's not an option for him now, because one, he doesn't have $20,000 to spend on injections.
Yes.
But two, he doesn't want to. The kid won't even play football because of CTE. I mean, he's not going to do that to his body with steroids just to play baseball. Right. So at that point, now baseball is no longer an option for him long term. Now does he maybe put his thoughts and his efforts into something else, like being a doctor, or what I mean, whatever else his passion is,
right.
which let's be honest, is more likely anyway. You know
Very
what I
true.
mean?
Very true.
The kid's got talent, he's got potential, but
right. But
it takes much more than that. It's
right.
Exactly. You got a better
one
chance
every
to get
10,000 or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
No, 10 million. I mean, it's like you have a better shot of getting struck by lightning twice in your lifetime than you do making it professionally in any sport.
Yeah.
So it's like he should probably be looking forward to that anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But right now, that's not even a focus, is because the major leagues is an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So opening it up with the steroids and saying, well, if you're going to play at this level, you're going to have to pay the price.
Right.
Does that really hurt anything? Does that hurt the kids?
No, not necessarily.
It's gonna hurt whoever kids take it.
The kids that do
the kids that are getting juiced up,
right.
yeah, whose parents are
or the parents that are, we got like those parents that they live vicariously through their children, and because of that, like this is a show on Netflix. I forgot what it's called.
Come on, Friday Night Tykes.
Yeah, where like they got these kids that are they're little leaguers, Pop Warner kids, and these kids are getting pumped, and they probably pass. And I'm sure there probably is going to be some long-term effects, because we've seen long-term effects of kids lifting weights too early and things like that. But their dads wanted to be or were football stars, and because of that, these kids are being pressured way too early, way too fast to become football stars. And because of that, now you say, all right, on top of that, which some of the dads are probably doing anyway, you're going to take steroids. You're going to take, so longevity wise, and then now maybe that kid probably won't, because the chances are still going to be there. Because if you open it up to everybody, well, the chances are still going to be 1 in 10 million, or whatever the statistics are, because you're still going to have those 10 million kids that are willing to take that risk, right? But now the long-term effects are going to be, well, now the kid's got brain damage at 35, or he's got, aneurysms, or whatever else, the side effects of taking steroids, or he got hormonal issues and all these different things, possibly even cancer for some of these things that haven't been tested, FDA approved, and all that stuff.
Like the microphone being too
Well,
loud.
yeah, we know that
You know,
FDA isn't always the best either, but
Right.
I'm just saying at least
So there's some governing board
there's
said
some
something.
kind of like testing involved. I know the FDA
I'm-
isn't the best,
Right.
but at least somebody's vetting this stuff, right?
Well, I'm going to come at you
Allegedly.
like this. I'm going to come at you from the owner's perspective, and as someone who's got it in their goals to own a minor league team, or I should say minor league basketball team. You have to think about your product and obviously the longevity of your product. As myself, if I'm an owner of a sports franchise, I am I'm personally probably I don't think I'm for just free releasing steroids out there, because some people will say, well, if you do, then they get out there, they're entertained, you're making money. Yes, but money needs to be sustained, and if I've got a great player,
It's a much
that
shorter
play-
investment.
and that is a shorter investment, where anybody that knows good investments, you want longer investments, you want them to pan out. So for every for especially when you get that one player on your franchise that you need, to keep and sustain your cash flow. I mean, can you imagine if Miguel Cabrera was a juicer, and I mean, please, he would have been gone, by now. And we look at what happened to A-Rod, what's happened with A-Rod's body, and how how up and down he's been because of the steroids, and the effect that's had on his body. The longevity, is not there. Then, if I'm an owner and I want to take advantage of the special gifts that these guys were born with, I don't want them screwing that up, because that's money out of my pocket now, and now I have to replace that person with some dude who's probably not as good.
There's a current business model that is shredding that thought and that theory right now, and it's called the NCAA men's basketball league. they currently have that exact same business plan of one and done. I get this star player, this special player.
But see,
for
they don't
1
want
year.
that. That's not their model, though.
They don't want that, but they are still highly profitable.
That's Kentucky's model.
Yeah, exactly. Duke and everyone else.
Right. Here
even
was
Duke
I was
doesn't
gonna
want
say with that, right? Do we still pay our superstar players if we decide as owners, let's say we're all NFL owners or whatever, do we still pay our star players millions of dollars knowing that it's a short-term investment? Is the benefit of you have a 7-year contract, a 10-year contract for $80 million or whatever, in the case of basketball,
That's what football
that depends upon the sport. If it's football, sure, I'll take that bet, because everything's in the favor of the owner. So that cat gets hurt, I can cut him. I'm going to pay him nothing. Now, if you're talking basketball, guaranteed contract,
that's why I'm going with basketball.
Like you're going D Rose blow his knee just for turning his leg. Like you're paying him his $90 million no matter what.
Right.
So it depends upon the game.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So
And the collective bargaining agreement that they got in place.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So do you say, well, you know what? Because we know that these guys are taking enhancement drugs, look, or do you just shorten the contracts? Do you say, well, you know what?
You make them non-guaranteed.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can do that too.
Or do you just say non-guaranteed? You get paid for the game you play.
To me, if you're taking something that is gonna possibly damage, your longevity, your livelihood, then I wouldn't guarantee your contract either. If you're not, if you're clean, if you're taking stuff that's approved list and all that, sure, I'll guarantee your contract.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Because now, if there is no approved list, right, we're throwing an approved list out. Everything is approved now.
Everything's approved.
If everything's approved, then I wouldn't guarantee a single contract.
All right, so that's what I'm saying. So do we say, okay, you're my number one draft pick, but what do you take supplements? Are you taking the drugs on this list, or are you taking the drugs on this list? And then it's like, well, hey, who determines which list is safe now, right? Because we were supposed to throw out the list, right? So if I'm a college player,
If we throw out the list, if you're a pro, if you throw out the list, then honestly that's a bargaining tool. Then as a player, you go to the negotiating table and you say, you know what, I average 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists a game, and I don't take a single supplement. That's a bargaining chip then.
but guess what? How long does that last before everybody catches on and nobody quote unquote takes supplements?
But
Because you're not
again,
testing, right?
but no. If they claim they're not, there's nothing saying that I can't test them. And if I'm testing you and I find that you're lying to me,
So this is what
then
I'm
I
saying.
take your money.
What are you testing me for? Why are you testing me? Why? Are
Well,
testing
you can keep a ban list of substance, so you can keep the
say as
current
an
ban
owner,
list.
Yeah, you can say as an owner, the league may not ban you, but I don't want you. It's just like the league doesn't ban motorcycles, but certain teams will say, and certain players, I don't want you riding a motorcycle. It's in your contract. So I can say, as an owner, I don't want you taking these 5 drugs. Any other drug you can take with these 5, and I'm going to test you. And if you take these 5, you're not getting your money.
Fair enough. But I just I can see the player association saying, "Hey, why playing devil's advocate, working in a union environment myself. Hey, why are we testing these guys? This isn't." And then you can argue the investment piece and all that, but I can see the dichotomy of both sides of saying, well, I represent the players as a players association, and they don't want to be tested because there's no reason for us to be tested. You guys said that everything is approved, and for anonymity's sake or for privacy's sake or whatever, I don't want to have to disclose every drug that I'm taking. Maybe I have a condition that I need to be taking certain drugs. Maybe I'm taking hormones. Maybe I'm taking testosterone for other issues, right?
Which is cool. You just don't get a guaranteed contract.
Right. So, yeah.
Because you should disclose that to your employer who's paying you based upon your physical gifts.
True. I guess
I don't know. I'm against the guaranteed contract as a whole anyway. I think they ruin the sport, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't like guaranteed contracts.
See, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think guaranteed contracts have ruined basketball, except for the case of someone like Derrick Rose, who just
they have ruined basketball because now Utah is paying Derek Favors and whoever the white guy is that plays for us. I don't even know his name.
You talking about Gordon Hayward?
Gordon Hayward's
a baller. Are you kidding me? That dude is probably the most underrated shooting guard in the league right now.
The dude can't play defense and he can't carry a team. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're asking him to carry a team that he shouldn't have to carry.
But here's the thing: is we're paying him max money because we have to. Because if not, someone else is going to. Because owners love to spend money and guarantee the contracts.
He's also just they don't. The whole league guarantees.
It's out of control. That's the problem.
That's the point.
The money's out of control because of free agency more than the guaranteed contracts.
Right.
Because they're giving max deals to non-max players. But honestly, I'm not mad at that because the players should be getting paid more anyway. I really, especially when it comes to the NBA, as in the way with promotion, there's so much is on the players to drive the attention to the game. That I really think that they should get so much more. So when they have a higher ceiling that's set as the CBAs go higher, and as they get these higher TV deals, I'm sorry, these TV deals that they're getting that are coming for the next 2-3 years, and that's causing the salary cap to go up, yeah, they better get more money because there's no reason why the owners should get that money when the owners ain't the ones who are half the time even really promoting these guys. Half of these guys these players that are really good, their promotion is not coming from the team. Their promotion is coming from Nike or Reebok or Adidas, whoever they sign with, Under Armour or whatever. Yet they're still reaping the benefits of having guys that are doing self-promotion or promotion by another company, and they don't have to do the work. So why should they get the money?
Personally, I think that every contract should be non-guaranteed. It should have a team-based incentive in there, a participation incentive in there, and then a performance-based incentive in there. You know, like how well you did.
Most of them, they have the performance and they have team-based incentives.
They do.
But the thing is, when you don't guarantee contracts, you end up in a situation where the NFL, where you have such a discontented workforce, because they can just cut people whenever they feel like it,
Yep.
whether it's deserved or not, and they don't have to pay them.
Correct.
And to me, if you sign a contract, that's a contract. That's binding.
But
if and again, should there be a caveat or two if the person's underperforming? Cool. I'm totally fine with someone either not getting paid or underperforming, but just when they cut a guy because simply they don't, and most of the time they cut guys because they don't want to pay them. It has nothing to do with
because the return on investment. The return on investment is not as good.
They just don't want to pay them.
Right.
And if that's the case, then don't sign these guys. Don't sign guys to long-term deals. They sign these guys to long-term deals, knowing well they're going to cut them after the season's over. And as a player, I would be like, okay, well, I'm sorry, then I'm not signing that. I'll play somewhere else.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, think of it this way: business perspective. The NFL is the best run business probably in the world at this point. But
I wouldn't say the best run anymore.
Well, I'm just saying, as far as profitability and market share and growth and year-over-year growth and everything else, every measurable you could have, I mean, they're up there. But even just taking it from the world and just bringing it down to the level of professional sports in America.
Within America, yes. Globally, no.
They are
America, yes.
Far and above the NBA, and the NBA I think is the next closest. The NBA is
the NBA kills it globally compared to them.
Yeah, NBA is kind of, I would say, struggling. I mean, obviously they're still making millions, but they're struggling. I mean, to the point that they're wanting to put, they want to sell parts of their uniform to sponsors.
Yeah. Well, they're considering that just because they see the money that's there.
Exactly, they have that ability. The NFL doesn't
money.
Even...
They see what the soccer leagues, the EPL, and all them been doing for years, and they're like, wow, that is unused real estate that we really should be using.
Correct, but should they have to?
No, they don't have to.
Does the NFL have to?
NFL doesn't have to.
And yes, they do have a discontent in their workforce. But is there a shortage of guys not wanting to play? It's
never been guys not wanting to play. Because if that was the case, the USFL will still be here, and the XFL will still be here. It's not about guys not wanting to play. We have gotten so accustomed to seeing such a high-level performance that, yes, there's a great shortage.
Yeah, but I don't think that
especially with football. Basketball, not so much, because there's people that can play everywhere in basketball, and you only got 15 dudes to a squad. And if you've got a different league that has lesser rules when it comes to medicinals and other problems that the NBA may not want to overlook, then you could actually have some real competition. When it comes to football, there's not a whole lot of players that are on. When we talk about how bad some of these guys in the NFL are, we talk about how bad some of these quarterbacks and stuff are, and like, how did this guy actually make it to the NFL?
That's what I'm talking about right there. Is that there's 10% of the league that are really, really, really special, right?
Right.
And then there's everyone else. And what's the difference between everyone else and those guys who are fighting to get in?
Well, there's really, really special, and there's above average, there's average, and there's dudes who just suck.
Well, but what's the difference between the guys who just suck and the guys who are really good? What's the difference between them, really? They all have the ability. It's not because one of them takes a 6-inch step backward on their left foot.
Not all of them have the ability.
But it's all situational. It's all who their coaches are. You know what I mean?
What school they went to.
What school they went to, the availability to them.
Because let me say this. Chad Henne, who I don't like.
Right.
He's from Pennsylvania. He went to my school. He went to Michigan.
Right.
Not really much better program out there. Chad Henne could go to any other major program and he'd still be a bum. Like he's not good enough to be an NFL starter. He shouldn't, but he's had to start because of lack of options. He's a bum due to the journeyman bum.
Well, that's true, but I'm talking about random defensive tackle, random left guard. You know what I mean? Like that's who I'm talking about. There's no difference between those guys, and let's put it this way: pretty much all of New England's line, offensive line. What's the difference between them and anyone else? They're not great.
We don't know their names.
Exactly, they're not special.
They had to recycle so many people in. Well, but also that again, that's what led to them losing the last several games because their line was so pieces they couldn't keep Brady. They couldn't keep Brady together.
I will take that over the success they've had over the last decade. I will take that.
Well, this 1 year was an anomaly, but if they don't lose Solder and the rest of their offensive line, we were probably looking at another championship.
True, but now okay, let's switch. Let's go back to our old our Spurs, okay? Because a lot of guys there that were really good quality, like for example Bruce Bowen, Robert Horry, right?
Yeah.
Both of them were pretty washed up before they went to the Spurs. Yeah, Horry was on his way out. He was on the decline of his career when he was for the Lakers. He goes to the Spurs, and all of a sudden he's now extending his career for another 5 or 10 years or whatever it was.
Well, he's also not playing as many minutes in the Popovich system.
Correct, but that's my point right there.
Same with Steve Kerr.
That's my point. Is that the difference is in the systems that you play in. Right? The luck of the systems you play in. You're telling me right now that random guy going to the Patriots who plays left guard is probably going to be more successful and deemed a better player than random guard going to play for the Cleveland Browns.
Well,
I think anybody playing for the Cleveland Browns is
exactly. And why is that? And why is that? It's because of the system. It's because of the organization, right? So some of these guys, they could be really, really, really good, go play for the Cleveland Browns, and their career is over.
But see, to me, if you're that good, even if you're playing in Cleveland, some of that will show. Like Braylon Edwards showed how good he was, even though he played in Cleveland and had nobody to throw them the football.
But if he would have played in New England, would have had those problems?
Yes, because Braylon had too many drops at Michigan.
Hold on.
And with the Jets. I mean, Braylon played with the Jets and still had the drops problem. I mean, that's some of that is on the player too.
Correct. No, and I see what you're saying there. I'm just saying that I think the organization, the luck of the organization has a lot. There's so many factors out there.
Well, the organization definitely gives you a fantastic boost, and you're right. New England has been a poster child for taking dudes off the street who haven't played, and like that cat was it Deion Lewis?
Yeah.
Earlier this year, like. This dude hadn't been in the league in 2 years, and they were like, "Hey, all of a sudden this dude's putting up big time fantasy numbers."
Right.
Belichick is known for finding diamonds in the rough.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Look at Randy Moss.
Well, that wasn't exactly diamond in the rough. That was no one wants to deal with
this
guy.
Hold on. Randy Moss went from wonderful, like above average superstar of the league, to god level status that 1 year in New England. Do you know what I mean? And then after that, he was on the downside of his career. He was
playing in Oakland. He had no one to throw him the ball. I mean, he wasn't. See, I don't think he was that different in status-wise in New England than from Minnesota, because everyone was looking at him to be actually probably better than Jerry Rice, and athletically he was just not.
If he plays his career in New England, is he better than Rice?
No.
Yes.
No.
Why not?
Why not? Because Randy was never disciplined enough to have the longevity that Jerry Rice had. He had he had more physical gifts than Jerry ever had, but he never had the drive and the discipline to do what Jerry did. That's what separated Jerry from the rest of the receivers. And if it was pure talent, then he was better. But no, he would have never. If he played his entire career in New England, he never would have been better than Jerry.
I don't know. I think I have to disagree on that one.
Can you imagine if Jerry? Can you imagine if Brady was thrown to Jerry? Because Brady's a much better thrower.
Jerry had hold on. Jerry had
Montana,
Joe Montana, and Steve Young thrown to him.
Yeah.
Yes, and honestly, as a passer, and remember they didn't pass the ball that often back then.
Right.
They passed it a whole.
It was a running
lot
game.
more. Now, can you imagine if Jerry played with Brady in that system, what his numbers would be? They would have been a whole lot more in playing this pass-happy era. Just like if Michael Jordan was playing in this era, where your shadow can't touch somebody without them calling the foul.
It's true.
Mike would be averaging 50. Mike would have scored more than 100 points. Forget Kobe's 81. Mike would have dropped a whole lot more than that. Because all those, especially those cats back then who put up big time numbers. I can't imagine Pistol Pete playing in this era. I mean, that dude lit everybody up. Like, I can't, if they played defense back then, they didn't even have 3-point lines, back then. Yeah. Like, if they'd have been playing in these, when you look at that type of era, and what separates some of these athletes, a lot of the time, especially when we're talking about the upper echelons, a lot of it is just what extra do they give? What extra do they have in them? And Jerry's extra drive and determination to be the best, and unfortunately it sounds like a little bit of a stickum problem that we learned about, that he admitted to, separated him from the litany of great receivers he played against in that era. I mean, Randy was great, but he didn't really play in a high wide receiver great era. He was at the tail end of Chris Carter and Rice and Irvin, and Alvin Harper and Art Monk and all the great receivers that Jerry was playing, in that era. And it wasn't this past happy era.
See, but Jerry was playing on a dynasty level team in the Niners during those years.
He played on the stacked. The team was pretty stacked.
Right, so you can't double team him, you can't triple team him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they double teamed him.
Well, they tried to, but then they would leave everyone else open. You know what I mean? So looking at stats alone, okay, that 1 year, Rice only had 1 year receiving yards wise that was better than Randy Moss that year he played in New England, and Rice never had as many touchdowns as Moss did in that 1 year in New England. Right. And that's saying Moss.
But that New England team was just as stacked. I mean, you don't forget how many all the play that New England team that year that 18-0 year. Remember, they had Dante Stallworth, who was putting up big numbers. He would put up big numbers for Philly, and I forget what the team he played for. Stallworth was no joke.
He played New Orleans.
New Orleans, yes.
Yeah.
They had Stallworth on that team. They had Moss on that squad. They had I'm trying to remember who else. They were loaded. That team was insanely loaded on both sides of the football. Montana never had that type of defensive support ever on his Niners teams. And I'm trying to remember who else they had on the offensive side, but Moss wasn't. It wasn't like where he was in Oakland, where he was the only option that the QB had to throw the ball to. And remember, all those running backs they would just dump off to the football off to in the flat, like Kevin Falk and them. You had to cover those dudes. You couldn't leave those guys alone. Moss had plenty of receiver help that year.
I don't know. I'm not. Moss's numbers are very comparable to Rice.
They are. They're the closest anyone's ever.
They're very close to that, and he had Dante Culpepper throwing to him for most of those.
Cunningham, then Culpepper, yeah.
Right. But then
people forget how good Culpepper was pre-injury.
He was.
He was good.
He was
put up a lot of numbers.
He was decent.
I wouldn't say he's not Tom Brady level. He's not Joe Montana or Steve Young level.
No.
And remember, they had Wes Welker on that team too.
Not on that Randy Moss team on that year.
Yeah.
That was what, 97?
07.
07, I mean 07. Not
Yeah.
97.
07.
I don't remember him being on that. I thought he was on Miami.
He was on that squad.
Oh, okay.
They had Asante Samuel on that squad. They had Logan Mankins. They still had Coppin on that line. They still had Will Fork. They were stacked.
Huh.
And they had I think they still had what's his name? Murderer. Fernandez.
Nice.
Aaron Hernandez?
Aaron Hernandez.
Whoa.
Yes.
Now,
Aaron
with that
Hernandez.
being said,
Yeah, right. And on that note,
so
I think they still had
Travis
Hernandez
kind of
on
brought
the
this
squad.
up a little bit. Anyway, so it is kind of a nice little segue, even though we were way deep in the rabbit hole. Satellite camps.
I'm so heated on that. You have no idea how disgusted I am with the NCAA that they kowtowed and knelt and kissed the ring of the SEC. This is such garbage. They've been doing satellite camps for over 10 years. If they weren't so scared of Jim Harbaugh
exactly it.
and the Big Ten, this would not be anything. I dare those cushy SEC cats to travel their butts up north and do a camp. And it is purely about Harbaugh and the Big Ten having influence in taking players out of their own backyard. They think they're entitled to their Southern-born players. And it's crap. It is utter crap. It's ridiculous how clearly unfair. And you know what it's most unfair to? It's most unfair to the kids who should have the opportunity to meet coaches that could benefit them and make them better players. Not every kid can afford to travel to Michigan or to Minnesota or to USC or any of the other places from Florida or Alabama or Mississippi, wherever they come from, to go to a camp. These schools should be able to take their program on the road and meet these kids and have camps there. There's nothing wrong with that, and they've been doing it for better of a decade. But because it wasn't working until Harbaugh, put his unique spin on it, now they want to cry foul.
Checkmate.
That's it. That's all it takes is one person to ruin it, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
One person,
I got
one
no
person
way.
to
I got
do it
nothing
right.
for that one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I fully agree with you. Everything you're saying is completely correct. They're scared of Jim Harbaugh. He's changing the game, and when someone's different like that, then you don't want to embrace it. You want to suppress it. You know what I mean? And that's rough. That's hard. And it kind of makes me excited for Michigan football, to be honest.
Well, I wouldn't be sad, honestly, just because, look, because it was Harbaugh who did it, kids aren't going to forget that.
Right. That's exactly right.
If it was somebody else, if it was James Franklin who had done it, then it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't benefit Michigan football going forward. But because it was Harbaugh who did it and made it work and made it something that everyone was paying attention to, they're not going to forget that because they're calling it the Harbaugh rule.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah,
that's what they're calling it. So players down south, they're like, okay, cool. No, we know who really wants this. We know who's willing to do the extra mile on top of sleepovers and climbing trees and shooting baskets in the driveway and other stuff that that Harbaugh's willing to do to get players. And as a Michigan fan and as a Michigan man, you know what? Fine, you took it away. It'll probably be repealed later on because they're not going to be because enough coaches are gonna enough coaches and programs are going to be like, this is crap. This is really ridiculous. And I hope that some of the other programs do because Harbaugh was bringing other programs in. I mean, I forget what other program he was doing I think it was Iowa State or something like that. He was doing a joint camp with it's not like he's doing something completely exclusive as well. Other programs are doing this, and all the SEC coaches also weren't on board with saying this is a problem. It was just Auburn and Bama and Georgia were the only ones really saying anything. It was the big dogs. The little schools were like, okay, cool. Let's have a level playing field. Ooh, what an odd concept.
Yeah.
And David's heard me, complain about this. I dare. They would talk about neutral field and crap like that. Like they played that, Alabama Wisconsin game at Jerry World, or that Alabama Michigan game at Jerry World. That's not a neutral site. In Texas, that's not a neutral site. I dare one of those SEC teams to come play a game in the big house. I dare them, and see what happens. See what happens when you have to play football in real man weather, where you actually have to deal with it being a little cold, where the football gets a little hard to grip.
When you have 120,000 fans,
and you got 110,000, and you have 110,000 people screaming.
I want to have an argument against this. I just don't.
But I really don't have one.
Yeah, I can't, because it's just
it's as rock solid as you can get it. I dare them to come up north.
Yeah.
Dare them. They won't do it. Every freaking bowl game is in the South or California place where it's warm, because they can't take it. And they're like, oh, fans don't want that. Bull crap.
Oh, fans
love it.
Yep.
There's nothing better than watching a football game in the snow.
Exactly. It's a man's game. They love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ice Bowl. There you go. The Ice Bowl.
The Ice Bowl is exactly.
Still one of the greatest games ever.
Oh, the kids from down south, they don't want to go up north. Oh, really? Well, look at all the people that Harbaugh and Urban Meyer are taking from your southern states to go play football up north. I think they can handle it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When they signed Devin Bush Jr. and that said to me that Florida State couldn't get the son of one of their best players in their history to go to their school, the landscape is changing. And they're going to do all they can. The SEC is going to do all they can to lock it down, but the landscape is going to continue to change. And Harbaugh will come up with something next year that hasn't on the rule books yet, and he'll take advantage of that too.
Yeah. Well, that was a short topic. So,
let's go into a sensitive topic. I noticed throughout, and this, of course, is my personal world, that no one on my Facebook feed or even my Twitter feed really said a single thing about what I consider one of the most impressive feats I've witnessed in sports. And that is UConn is women winning their 4th straight NCAA title and their 11th total championship. The fact that they get such a lack of fanfare and recognition, to me, is appalling, and not just from men, but from women. Like, this is something that you should be, for the uber feminists and all that, this is something you should be like screaming about.
Celebrating.
Hey, you should be. You should be really celebrating this. These, I've always known to quote and been quoted to say that I believe women's basketball is the purest form of basketball, and you should be celebrating that, and you should be celebrating that this team is so successful that this group of seniors won a championship every year they were together. Like, this is New York Yankees level dominance that we talk about how great it was and celebrate. This should be something that's being celebrated, yet it seems to be just ignored, and I don't get it.
I don't even know where to start on this one. This is a large topic.
Yeah, and I wish we had a lady to chime in, but unfortunately we don't yet.
Yeah, I know that's unfortunate. It's really, really difficult because, and this is hard because I'm trying to teach my daughter that there's nothing that a man can do that she can't. You know what I mean? She's just as equal as them, and if she wants to go play baseball, she can go play baseball. If she wants to be a nerd, she can be a nerd. It's really, she is both. I mean, she loves both of those things. But at the same time, it's so hard because everything's so stacked against her, and that's the world that we live in, and we're still a very long way from that changing. You know what I mean? That's ingrained deep within us. As far as, I mean, if you want to change that, we're gonna have to change dating parameters. How we mate. We're gonna have to be, change that it's equality for men to get picked up on just as much as men pick up on other women. I mean, we're gonna have to. There's some major social norms that are going to have to be changed in order for that to be changed as well. And that is just, and unfortunately that's a reality, and I hate it. I really hate it so much, but that's just the way it is. It shouldn't take away from their accomplishment though, because that's impressive. The amount of wins that they have, and every single one of them are double digits. It's like, that is just dominance on another level. That's Harlem Globetrotter dominance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's ridiculous. You're not even playing the same game right now.
Right. And then having four daughters, and three of them being so young, and I watched almost every UConn game this tournament, and my girls watched most of them with me, and half the time they were sitting there saying, "Will they get 100 this game? Will they get 100 this game?" And like, "Oh, they didn't get 100." Like they had no doubt. This is their first time really watching it and being able to comprehend, because they're only 6 and 7,
right.
And they had no thoughts whatsoever that UConn was going to lose. It was simply, will they get 100 this game?
Right. Yeah, that's when you're setting mindsets like that, that's pretty dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think it's an unfortunate situation. Unfortunately, the unfortunate part about it is that it's just not going to change anytime soon.
Not overnight. No. And I mean, imagine we've had this discussion before about WNBA and some of the greatest WNBA players. Just recently, we had that conversation on a couple podcasts back. But so you already know my feelings on it.
No, I don't.
But yeah, I feel the same way. Like, in this world of equality, we still find things that aren't so equal, and it is sad because those women work just as hard or even harder than some of the men do. Some of the men just get in just because
of their physical gifts.
Right.
And most of them, they don't have that. Well, even some of them, they of course they have some physical gifts that separate them from other women, but it's not to the same degree. I mean, LeBron's physical gifts put him so far above everyone else, head and shoulders, that it's not fair.
Yeah.
Where we look at Steph Curry, and his dominance is because of how hard he worked to learn how to shoot the ball. That wasn't God given. Where LeBron's dominance is mostly God given. And we look at the women; they have such a lower threshold when it comes to that. And that means you had to really work hard to be that dominant.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate part, to work that hard and not get the recognition.
Yes, because they probably worked harder than than Nova did.
Yeah, exactly.
On the men's
but
side,
you heard that's all you heard about this week and this.
Yes.
This last, yeah.
Even from the women who were on my Facebook feed were posting, "Oh wow, Nova, this that,"
right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, maybe because of all the excitement, that last second, and I get it, last second shot to win the game is a whole lot more exciting than UConn blowing somebody out by 40 again. I understand that. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a day or two, see if anybody said something about this historic team. Not a freaking peep. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. And it's just kind of like, I mean, it happens every year, right? You got March Madness, and it's just all dominated by the male. Even you see it in the WNBA, you rarely hear about women's basketball, but you hear everything about men's basketball. And if you're not connected deeply to sports, you probably don't even know that there's a women's basketball. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's so obscure, which is sad because like we've talked about many times, some of these women can beat the pants off of some of these men that
Yeah.
are in the NBA.
Yeah. We talked about how Maya Moore could take a whole bunch of cats.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know.
So, yeah, I feel the same way. It's
Well,
definitely unfortunate. It's definitely unfair.
I'm gonna.
Unfortunately, I don't see it changing for a while.
Well, let's talking about changing. I'm gonna take us a little bit into the rabbit hole, so I'm a little bit off the original plan, but this has to deal with it. Recently, the members of the U.S. Women's National Team for soccer have filed a lawsuit um, about unequal pay. They generated $20 million more than the men's team did, yet they are paid significantly less. Now, first of all, I did not know that our national soccer teams were getting paid. I had no idea they got paid to play, represent the United States. I thought, kind of like Olympic wise, like,
It's
it's
for
it's a
it's for the
volunteer.
glory and
It's
the
for the pride.
reputation,
Yeah, it's for the
and
pride
the
of the
pride.
nation.
Yeah,
But apparently that's not so. So they are compensated for this, and anyone that knows the landscape of soccer in this country knows that our women are far more successful than our men have ever even dreamed of being.
very
I don't
much
think
so.
our men have even reached a World Cup final where our women have played in several.
Absolutely.
So to and I don't even really, except for Landon Donovan, I can't remember the last time I saw a male U.S. soccer player in a commercial. But you see Abby Wambach, you see I forget her name off the top of my head.
Hope
Uh,
Solo.
oh, Hope Solo, yeah, I'm a big Hope Solo fan.
Yep,
Prior to the beating,
of course.
prior to the domestic abuse, I was a little salty when she married Jeremy Stevens because he's a bum.
Right.
But big Hope Solo, Hope Solo, and I want to say Allison Felix or Allison something like that, a really cute striker. Um, they've got marketable players, and they're better. I mean, I honestly think if they squared off on the pitch, the women would probably win. They are just better. They're more marketable. They've performed at the high level. They should be paid, actually, to my opinion, more because they're doing more. It shouldn't be exactly an equal thing. They should be paying according to performance and what's generated, and they are not being compensated for that.
What's interesting though is I think that the soccer is the only sport that is really the case where women have an opportunity to outshine men because they do
Yes.
absolutely everything that the men do. So it's like watching just a better product when the women are playing,
Yeah.
as opposed to basketball and baseball or whatever the case may be, because you're not hitting 500-foot home runs. And let's be honest, that's
They're
fun to
not
watch.
Yes, it is, and they're
You're
not dunking on anybody.
exactly.
Which
You're
is
not
fun to watch.
you're dunking every once in a while, but you're not dunking over top of somebody. You're not Vince
Right.
Cartering somebody,
Right.
and that's fun to watch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But in soccer, that's fun to watch because you're doing everything the men are doing, if
Right.
not better. You're
Yeah.
dominating and you're scoring
Absolutely.
more, and you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot more to it. But yeah,
Well,
that's
it shows even in how far they've come, even in the recent release of FIFA when they added the women's soccer team now, and
Which was
that
a big reason why I bought this one. So I didn't buy since 13. But one big reason I bought this FIFA 16 was because I could play as the women's national team.
exactly. So yeah, soccer is one of the sports that's far above and beyond as far as progression when it comes to women in recognition. And as we've already said, they are much more talented than our men. Um, but yeah, and I think it is because of some of the dynamics of the sport. Like we talked about earlier, it is the easiest sport to pick up for anybody. As long as you know how to kick a ball and run, you can play soccer. Maybe not well, but you can play soccer.
But you can play.
So some of the amazing feats that are done can be done by men or women or even children. So yeah, I guess that's.
Did we just come full circle?
Yeah.
Sometimes we do that.
We came all the way back around.
Yeah, sometimes we do that.
That's cool.
Sometimes we actually stay on goal here.
Every once in a while.
Obviously, we do the opposite all the time.
All right, so I'm gonna throw a curveball into the mix then. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Okay, so we had mentioned superheroes, so we're not completely off the beaten track. We mentioned Batman versus Superman. Now there's been a whole bunch of stuff out there. People like it, people didn't like it, people hated it, people loved it. I know, and I'm not going to say I liked it or loved it because I haven't seen it, and that's because I just cannot do I can't do Ben Affleck as any superheroes anymore. He ruined that with me with Daredevil, and I'm sorry, I can't forgive him. And every bit of the trailers and stuff that I've seen have just double confirmed that. I shouldn't have, even though I did watch, because I follow Cracked.com on their YouTube channel, and I watched I just watched them rip apart the movie, which was kind of funny because they didn't rip it apart the way I would have. They just took it apart as for what it was, which definitely made me glad I didn't spend money at the theater for it. I probably will watch it, and I'm a little disappointed that it's not doing as well as I thought it would. But I'm thinking that it actually may lose to the a more exciting movie that I think I would like a whole lot more, and the Lego Batman movie that I continue to see trailers for. The Lego movie was a blast to watch and extremely enjoyable, which Lego Batman had an appearance in. And there seems to be a growing amount of hype for the Lego Batman movie. I think it could possibly, because of the kid element, outperform Batman versus Superman.
Have you guys played Lego Dimensions at all?
Love it.
Yes.
That opening scene where they go through the vortex and they go into the Lego movie world, and you have Batman and Batman, and he's like, I'm Batman. He's like, no, I'm Batman. He's like, well, no, I'm Batman. And then they start doing their little hand flippy things. I am 3,000% sold on this Batman Lego movie. 100%. That right there just sealed it from like that. Just you don't get better than that right there. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you though. I think we're about ready for another genre shift. I think that the current market of superheroes is getting pretty stale. I think everybody's waiting for things to wind down. I think these new features of like Ant-Man's and whatever else they got, Doctor Strange and all that stuff. I think they're going to start winding down. I think it's going to start leaving a window open for a new format to come out. And if that's Lego, well, then I'm not opposed to that.
Well, I was one of the ones who actually did see Batman v Superman. On was it release day? No, we went on Easter Sunday. Not realizing that it was Easter Sunday when we made the plans. But anyway, that's another rabbit hole. So I saw it. My thoughts on it were divided. I liked it as a setup for the coming Justice League movie. I did not like it as a standalone, and I definitely didn't like it as a Man of Steel 2, which was what it was supposed to be. And that's kind of what they started marketing it as. Started when you see the movie, that's kind of what it started as, and then it just went totally left field. But I did, like I said, I liked it as it definitely introduced the rest of the Justice League well. It did that well. The story wasn't terrible. Ben Affleck actually did a decent job. I know Magic doesn't want to hear that, but he did.
I've heard from several people. I just don't know how believable that is. But I also think Christian Bale was terrible as well. So
I as far as the movie goes, I like that they got some they addressed some of the things in the Nolan universe and different things like that. Like there was a little Easter egg joke in there about the voice, and there was this one part where they had the helmet, or the cowl, I should say, and Alfred's like fixing it because in this one is really like armor this time, and he's playing around with the microphone in the mask, and he's like, nope, yeah, just not gonna work. So like because he had that Christian Bale raspy voice kind of thing. And it's like,
God.
yeah. So like they kind of got that out the way early, and so that was kind of cool, as kind of like a little Easter egg to the fans, a little fourth wall break or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm definitely more excited for Lego Batman. I love all the Lego stuff. It's just awesome. It's fun and it's cool and it's lighthearted, and they have good stories, and it's fun to watch and play when you're playing the games. So yeah, and like you said, with the kid element, it's definitely going to outsell Batman v Superman. It's probably going to be outsell just about everything other than maybe Ninja Turtles, which is coming out much later.
I think it outsell it.
And it may
Michael Bay. When Michael Bay touches it,
yeah. But yeah, I because you got kids, and you automatically double your ticket sales when it's anything with kids, because it's gonna be the mom, the dad, and the kids, or just mom and the kids, or whatever. So it's automatic. You're gonna double. Right. But either way, you're gonna get double the tickets at least, and depending on how many kids you got, you're gonna triple or quadruple it. Yeah, yeah, in your case. So yeah, there's no question that it's gonna outsell any superhero movie in the next coming months.
Except for maybe Avengers.
Except for maybe
it's funny, TP, that you mentioned Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, because I think that is the correct direction for superhero movies to go, and Marvel seems to understand that. The fact that they have a plethora of interesting characters, and they don't need to keep regurgitating the same movies over and over with the same characters, that DC seems to not be able to get that out of their head.
Right.
Well, I think that's what I like about Batman v Superman, is they finally did that, right? They finally said, hey, we're giving you a Flash, we're giving you Aquaman, we're giving you Wonder Woman, which is coming out next year. We're giving we're giving you Cyborg, who I don't know why they picked Cyborg. I would rather they picked Martian Manhunter, or even do Green Lantern the right way. Because the first one was horrible. Or even go into the sub. You can go in the Bat family and Nightwing and all that stuff.
Well, we all know. Take the elephant out of the room. The reason why they did that Cyborg is simply because they had to have a black person there.
Well, I guess yeah. That could be it. I don't know. Yeah, because he definitely wasn't a founding member of the Justice League. But who knows? Maybe they're going to change the story around. I mean, he doesn't really have much of a story, right? He's just
he's got a good story, but it's just not tied with the Justice League,
Well, it really, what is there really a story there? He was a star football player, got into this accident and lost half his body, and his dad's a scientist who basically brought him back.
That's no worse than Daredevil's story. This accident, got blinded. I mean, that's just stuff happens.
True. I don't know. It's debatable, but anyway.
Yes. All right. So keep it up with the quick hits.
Yeah.
Last quick hit, because we're running. Y'all giving me extra editing time, because we can't put 10 hours of podcast up for free, y'all.
You think you can?
I mean, I don't know where.
I don't know where. Right.
But last quick hit is The Walking Dead season finale.
Glenn's dead, and that's it.
Oh, you guys!
Did you say Glenn's
I
dead?
didn't even get a chance to tell you. I haven't seen it yet. But I know someone else already spoiled it for me.
I was just gonna touch specifically on Negan and was it just Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think his name is the right order. I don't forget his name in the right order, but my man did a fantastic job with that monologue. And the fact that they did not show who died really irritates me.
I love it.
I hate it. I hate it.
Why?
Because you know
Because
why?
they're making you come back next season. Is that why?
No, because I was gonna come back anyway.
Right. So what's the difference? Why not?
Yeah, no, I agree.
The difference is we're going to find out before the next season. We're going to find out through spoilers, through who's not going to be, who's not signing contracts, all that normal stuff that happens in all seasons. We're going to find out who it was. So instead of showing us, they decided to tease us yet again with screen flashes that they did at that other episode, something that they've regurgitated again, instead of just showing us who got it. Because honestly, we don't think it's Glenn, because they already teased his death, and honestly, I think they're setting up Abraham to replace Glenn in this death, because Glenn's becoming, people getting way, way attached to him. It's almost now become, if you touch Rick or Daryl or Glenn, the world's going to break apart.
Riot.
Yeah, they're just going to riot. You could kill anybody else. It could have been Maggie, freaking pregnant woman. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But if you touch Glenn, Rick, and Daryl, and Michonne's getting close to
Yeah, Michonne is there. Yeah, she's there.
So if you touch one of them four, it's on. Ain't nobody going to watch no more. So I really can't see, even though, again, issue 100, that huge heart-wrenching moment in the graphic novel, Glenn dies. I don't think it's Glenn. I just wish they would have showed it to me so I have something really to look forward to. And how they gonna fight back? How they gonna get revenge? What's going on with Morgan and Carol and these dudes that look like American gladiators with a spear on a horse? Like, I want to focus on that. I don't want to be sitting there thinking, "Oh God, they're gonna make us figure out who died. Is it Eugene? Is it Glenn? Is it Abraham? Is it Sasha?"
I'll tell you who it is. I know who it is. It's Jon Snow.
And that's my proves my case right now. That proves my case right now. We know Jon Snow ain't dead because they've seen him on freaking set. That's exactly my case. Just show me that he's dead. Show me who got it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know who's dead. I joke and say Glenn because that's what everybody's been saying.
I think it's Abraham because he after the first blow he was like, whoa, he took that in, Abraham being a former soldier, because Eugene would have taken the one hit. He's not getting back up. He's just getting pummeled, no matter how tough he thought he became. And they're setting him up to be written off anyway because he gave Rick the directions on how to build bullets and whatever. He's completely expendable. There's no use for him.
Well, you realize they kind of made him hateable, right?
Yeah.
A few episodes before when he left his girl and started showing interest in Sasha.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Abraham. Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of setting him up already to kind of be like, you know what? Good. You deserve this. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. They said, and they really did that great shift with Father Gabriel to make him to be like this cool character,
right?
Like when they attacked the saviors, and he did the whole Sam Jackson, I'm going to quote the Bible before I shoot you. I was like, yo, how does Father Gabriel get the coolest kill in the episode? Father Gabriel got the coolest kill in the episode. What? Are you kidding me?
I love it.
Like, we're supposed to hate this dude. This dude's a slime ball.
He comes out like Jules.
Yes,
yeah, right?
Exactly. He got his Jules moment. I'm like, okay, Walking Dead. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I agree.
All right, Cholo. Thanks for listening to this extended edition episode of the original Jeek podcast.
Is it really extended?
This is extended,
we do
man.
3 hours every episode.
It's extended because we are now on time constraints. That's why it's extended.
We're sorry. We like to talk. I'm sorry.
So thank you all for listening. As always, I'm Rockinmrmagic. He's UniqDNA. And again, we welcome our man MightyTP.
I hope he comes back. This was great.
I think he'll come back.
I love this. I got the itch.
I think he's
maybe
got the fever, baby.
Hopefully he can keep us consistent now.
We'll see.
We'll see. If anything, he's going to keep us on a more intellectual, analytic thought process with his developmental brain,
till
mind
we
frame
corrupt
there.
him.
Right? Exactly. I am corruptible too.
Listen, I was the analytical guy until like episode 3, and then
And that's all gone.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, enough talking. It's been
Yes,
great.
peace out, y'all.
Guys.
Thank you for listening. As always, you can follow us on Twitter, _Rockinmrmagic. He's UniqDNA on Twitter, and if MightyTP's on, we'll make sure you get that info too. Keep us on lock and keep out for our upcoming Facebook page, where we will also start putting out some article type opinion pieces for y'all to interact with as we continue to add more Jeeks to our roster, y'all. Until next time, peace.
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 Yeah. Lord, this for you. I was a mess, little hair on my chest, fresh as a newborn, but I'm headed for death. Some saying I'm blessed, cause I'm still alive. Every day in the hood, I was fighting to survive. So sin I quiet as an adolescent, walking in darkness, spirit facing oppression. You couldn't tell me nothing, swag was on 100, speeding in the fast lane, call me crash dummy. Then I put on the helmet of salvation and received the revelation. Yeah, I could be a leader in this nation, ain't gotta follow the code in the streets and be like them other creeps. See, I could be a leader in this nation.